everybody, welcome to Frame Trap. Today I am joined by the wonderful guest at the end there, Michael Huber.
Hello.
And the always dapper-looking Bradley Ellis.
Cloud Strife.
Cloud Strife, yeah. That was actually how I wanted to open up Frame Trap today. I'm going to be hosting you through this. I'm Ben Moore. And we are, like, really right now in this moment, I think, in the calm before the storm. We were talking before we started shooting about how E3 is right here. We can feel it. We're knocking on that door, but it's not here yet. How do you feel in this moment? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
Calm.
You're calm.
I'm calm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calm because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Calm because you just know it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know it's going to be awesome.
Okay.
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling like everything is just going to be awesome.
Huber, I was in your state of mind, I think, at first, but then the Final Fantasy VII Remake announcement happened, and it's just...
Yeah.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake has been... I feel like it was announced forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
And so for it to be real, again, in the way that it was real, it just kind of rocked my whole world, man.
Yeah,
There's a whole... E3 could be anything now.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
I like saving the energy, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Have to.
It's like I'm in a zen state now, I think. That's what it is.
Huber, I bet the energy will get expended on this very episode.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, all that E3 energy's gone. Brad, how are you feeling? Final Fantasy VII Remake is like your number one baby.
That's setting E3 for me like on fire. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, this is what I want the most right now in my life, and it's gonna be there. So it's very reassuring.
And Shenmue 3 playable, dude.
And Shenmue 3 playable for Huber. Oh, okay, high five. I'm very nervous about E3. Just the fact of everything that comes with E3, the hours. I mean, I love it, but I'm gonna be tired.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a hard thing to communicate because it's not. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it is always a weird feeling because that is definitely the time where we have the most eyeballs on us.
It's the most stressful time for us.
It's very intense.
And it's like you're having a party and like you're happy that everyone's there, but there are certainly a lot of people that you don't recognize.
Yeah.
And that's always just a new feeling. It's a feeling that comes around every once a year. Yeah. Man, seeing Monster Hunter Iceborne, I mean, a lot of this, if you've seen our reactions, you know this already, but that was great too. So it was nice having Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I know this kind of sounds weird considering it's a remake, but was new and exciting. Mm-hmm. And then you have something like Monster Hunter Iceborne where it was like, oh yeah, I really fucking love that game.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Nice,
warm blanket.
Kind of on both ends of the spectrum there, which is really nice.
But don't forget about Predator.
Don't forget about Predator.
Don't forget about Predator.
Well, we don't know much about it, dude.
No, but I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad you're doing this because after State of Play, there was a lot of things getting hyped, a lot of things I think that tugged on our taste specifically, such as Final Fantasy VII Remake and more Persona stuff and Iceborne. And like Huber would jump into all those conversations, and then in between those conversations, he'd be like, Predator! Yeah. Predator! And like really kept it right at the front of our minds, which I appreciated. It was nice.
Because like Friday the 13th...
Is it the same people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Friday the 13th, Kickstarter, lower budget, had a lot of problems, but like at its heart, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. It was like... It felt so true to Friday the 13th. So now with Sony and 20th Century Fox backing this, like... I'm really excited for Predator. I think it's going to be solid.
With the way things are going for you, I think when Shenmue 3 comes out, like you're going to get a knock at your door and it's going to be Jason Voorhees and he's going to play the whole game with you.
Yeah.
And then murder you. Yeah. Huber, there's a game I knew we were going to talk about today, but I didn't know that I personally, Ben Moore, was going to be as into it and as excited about it as I am. Like, I'm really surprised. Between this and The Division 2, these are like my two biggest personal surprises of the year so far. And that is Days Gone. I really like Days Gone so far, man.
Days Gone.
And you've finished Days Gone, Huber, and Brad, you're at the end.
Or, I don't know if I'm at the end, but I've been playing far. I'm far.
Brad is very far.
I'm definitely nowhere near as far as that, but I have been playing it. For I don't even know how long. I've just been kind of going with the flow. Yeah. But I feel like I've got a decent sense of the gameplay loop in that game, and there are a lot of things that are really impressing me. But you, Michael Huber, you finished it. You and Jones finished it first. Jones was reviewing it. And you came out and you said a lot of great things that I didn't really quite understand I didn't quite understand until I really got my hands on it.
Yeah.
But what is your big takeaway from Days Gone? What's the thing that impresses you the most?
The way it handles survival, the way it handles resources, like the resource management in this game is like the blockbuster of resources. Like, how do I explain it? It's like you have something like Don't Starve where it's like super hardcore, intense. But this straddles the line of like accessibility, playability, while also like having to scrounge for items. You're never 100% like Brett and I were talking, you know, if you take your time, you'll be pretty good on resources, but I really appreciate that you have to go out of your way to look for things.
Yep.
You can't waste items. There's a couple key things that make the whole system work well, and that's fuel for your motorcycle and Molotov cocktails.
Yep.
Because the only way to burn nests is Molotovs. And I felt like, especially later in the game,
Can't you throw like gas cannons?
you can throw gas cans too, but like those are slightly rare. Like you can't count on it.
Yeah.
It's like Molotovs. It's like, all right, I have some in my inventory.
Right.
But I got to like, there were a couple times when I would just be out in the wild and I wouldn't have the resources to take down a nest, and I would have to leave.
That happened to me today
I
before we
love
shot
that.
this show I was playing, and I had to clear out 6 nests, and I got halfway through, and I needed more, and I was like, okay, well, it's getting dark.
Yeah.
I am running out of materials for Molotov cocktails. Like, I'm going to make the choice to retreat, go back to my base, get what I need, get kerosene. I was out of kerosene.
Kerosene.
And I went and I slept, and it wasn't a huge thing, but even as I was leaving, Deacon was like, I guess I'll come back and clear the rest of these out later.
Yeah.
And just having that context and feeling like, okay, this is a game where it's constantly saying that you need to be paying attention, that
Yes.
everything matters, that everything has purpose and consequence. And I felt that. There was enough strain on the resources that I was able to buy into that world a little bit more, which was so awesome.
Totally.
But kind of exactly what you were saying. I think
It's not annoying.
Right. It wasn't like, okay, well, now I don't want to play this because I'm not having any fun.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I think the gas for me, you mentioned it as being kind of your number one thing. It's also my number one thing because early on they come up with a tooltip and they're like, hey, like if you want to save gas, don't accelerate down hills.
Yeah.
And you got to think about that. And then I realized in so many open world games, I'm either fast traveling and not thinking about it, or like I'm just kind of like tuning out, like, okay, time to get in the car, time to follow the line. And like here, you have to worry about gas enough, and gas is depleting from your tank enough that you're like, okay, let me look at the map. Okay, if I fast travel, this is how much it's going to take for gas. And it's just making those little considerations invested me so much more in the world.
The way it handles fast travel, because so many times I would fast travel somewhere and then I would it would warp me there and I'd be like almost out of gas.
Yeah.
Or so many times I'd be like running low and I'm trying to get somewhere and there's like a gas station up there and it's like, oh my gosh, I can roll into this gas station, but there's freakers everywhere. I'm like low on supplies. Just so many of those moments sucked me in.
Definitely. Man, I had a great moment where I was riding on my bike and there was a group of freakers.
Yeah.
And one of them just jump tackled me, like off the bike. He jumped on top of me, my bike crashed. I had to go and deal with him and then pick up the bike. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
The one last resource, too, that's really important that adds to the whole thing, for me, because I did melee so much, is the scrap.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the way it handles scrap because I felt like really early on I had so much, but then I got really dependent on my melee, which another point of praise is the melee. Some of these melee weapons are awesome to use. You feel the impact. And it was tough. It was like, wow, 5 scrap to repair this?
Yeah.
Because there's like the saw bat that you could craft, but then I found like the best weapon, the best bat ever. It was like max damage, max durability, and I didn't have a recipe to craft that. So I was like, well, dude, I need to hang on to this. I never want this thing to break. Like, this is my weapon now. So I kept having to invest scrap into that.
Yep.
If my motorcycle took damage, that was more scrap being used.
But you
Just
kind of
really great balance.
You kind of glossed over something in there that, at least so far in my experience, is another thing that I really like. And I feel like with a lot of games, this is something that I talk about because I do think it's important. And repairing your melee weapons with scrap is a skill. And I feel like a lot of the skills that I'm getting, like when I get a skill point, I'm excited about it because a lot of them I'm looking, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be really useful. That would help me either be more efficient, more powerful, or just something along those lines. And man, I feel like I play so many games where like I get to a point very quickly and I'm like, I don't care. Like I don't need any of this stuff. And I don't feel that right now with Days Gone, which I like.
It takes a while to get there.
So you do get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm there already.
Okay.
With skills?
Yeah. Where I'm like, I don't need any more.
Oh,
Because,
dude.
like, dude, I have all this stuff in the melee tree I need.
Yeah.
I have all this stuff in the shooting tree I need, and there's not that much in the scouting tree I actually need.
Was that stamina,
like-
though? Wasn't survival stamina?
But it's like, I have so much. I got one stamina upgrade, and once you get the improved roll,
yeah.
it's like,
Love the roll.
it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Because you can just, like, roll all the time. For
sure.
Because, like,
Man.
barely takes any away now.
Yeah.
That's disappointing because definitely at the start,
But,
it's
like,
been...
I'm very far into this game, though.
Right.
For me, I felt like the skills mattered the whole way.
Okay.
Like, they weren't essential, I'd say, near the end.
Yeah, I think
But
that-
I still felt like every time I got one anyway, I was pumped. I was like, yes.
Nothing feels like really completely worthless.
Yeah.
Right.
But you definitely have, of course, you have the skills that are just like way better.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Sure.
double ammo.
Prioritize, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Min-max it.
Yeah.
Ammo is another good thing to bring up because there have definitely been... in a lot of the firefights that I'm getting, either as part of a story mission or just on the road, it's like always something that I have to think about. And even so, like the suppressor for the primary weapon, for the secondary weapon, the durability feels fair. Like it's like, okay, well, it's not so worthless that I only get a couple of kills in with it, but it's not so generous that I can't like slap on a suppressor and then forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to use it for this situation and then take it off. And it's just, making you think about how you're approaching is really, really good. I do think one of my biggest complaints, I don't think the shooting is good.
No. It's like
not
whatever.
great, but it's not bad.
It's efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's just this looseness to it that
sure.
doesn't quite feel...
Yeah.
There's a
Right.
skill very early on that I think really defined and helped my entire playthrough, and that's the, I forget the name of it, it's like hard target or hard boiled
Really like
or...
steadier.
It's when you melee
and the shot.
your next
Yes,
shot
and then,
does...
I saw that.
So I played the early like 15, 20 hours of this game just bashing someone
Right.
and then like Ethan Hunt freaking MI Ghost Protocol like quick draw boom boom boom.
See,
And
I
it was
found-
just so awesome.
I found the focus where you slow down time,
Yeah.
kind of
So
Red
good.
Redemption style,
Yeah.
is like...
Too
It's
OP.
so good.
Yeah.
It feels like the shooting kind of relies on it in a way.
If you want
and it-
headshots,
yeah.
it's like
And you want headshots, so
Yeah.
you're not... Yeah. And so, like, getting that and then getting the thing that, like, reduces the cooldown for that immediately was very, very useful. I do want to talk about...
There's a bunch of things I want to talk about on this game, Ben.
Yeah,
So many
this
points.
is the time to do it.
So many points.
I just wanted to bring up something that I thought was really good, and so far I kind of am getting more and more into the characterization of Deacon.
Yes.
Because I think it is
Yes.
hard to have a character like that that isn't annoying. And what I mean, the type of character that I think I'm getting from Deacon is somebody who's just barely holding it together.
Yeah.
Because I think just writing that character, you can lean too hard into them being like too dickish for no reason, having like no soft spot in them whatsoever, or being like way too insane and like not relatable in any way. And he's kind of threading that needle for me where the way that he delivers some of his lines is kind of off kiltered and rattled enough.
Yeah.
But there's a groundedness to him that is kind of holding in place.
what's the actor's name? Sam Whitworth? I don't know. I
Sam
forgot.
Witwer, I believe. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
I love him.
That was one of the things I wanted to say is the acting in this game, I think, is top notch. These, like, say what you will about maybe the script or some of the characters here and there, but as a whole, I thought this ensemble cast in Days Gone just nailed it. Like, everyone has such a clear, defined personality, and like, yeah, there's some archetypes, you know, like Copeland conspiracy theorist.
Far Cry
or-
5 villain.
Yeah.
Copeland is the worst.
for sure.
But Tucker
Tucker, I thought was
really great.
really definable character,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I just thought the acting sells these characters so much.
One of my favorite scenes so far is when you like get in the golf cart with Tucker and you're just going around the camp and she's just talking about different things and like shit talking to people and just kind of like being tough as nails, but you can also kind of just get the sense of stress and the weight that she has, like trying to look out for these people. I think is really, really good.
Work camp.
The game definitely gets better too as you go on.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really like also the mission structure where even early on, I feel like I have a ton to do. And it's not really demanding that I go one way or the other. It's like, hey, do you want to go do this bounty hunt? Do you want to go clear out these infestations? Do you want to go get your rep up for this one camp or another? And I feel like I have a lot of choice immediately, and that's really good. Obviously, there's an intro to the game, and you go through it and all that stuff. But yeah, I like that a lot. And again, kind of talking about thinking about how you approach things. What I do is influenced by how close I am to it, if I've unlocked fast travel points there, if I know there are going to be resources there. And so that's influencing what missions I do, and that's really cool too.
Totally. Another big thing for me was stealth.
Yeah.
I love stealth in this game. I just always love the option of stealth. It's why I love The Evil Within 2 so much. The idea when stealth is an option when you need to manage your resources. I love that in video games. Just, you have limited resources, you can go in guns blazing, or you can be cautious, go in stealth. You know, there's melee weapons, of course, and I just thought that balance was really
Just
on point.
rolling like stealth is the most efficient thing, and
Rolling
it just
into tall
it
grass.
just cracks me up, dude. I'm just rolling like everywhere. No, it doesn't make any more sound.
For sure.
So
but like
you-
sometimes I would like step on a bear trap and be like,
Oh yeah, and he's like,
Yeah. When you accidentally step into a bear trap for the first time, yeah, for sure.
and like they have the tripwires everywhere when you have
Yeah,
to
tripwires are cool.
When you have to I love the little kind of mini games where you have to you go to a Nero supply camp and you gotta
find the gas and break the speakers. Yeah, that's cool.
breaking all the speakers and you kind of gotta trace them back to their point and make sure you got them all before you turn it on.
Yeah.
Love that stuff.
Any game that I can, I almost always pick the stealth option.
Yeah.
It's just the most satisfying
For
to like
sure. Yeah.
dismantle a situation, pick them off one by one. There's another game where I'll get to talk about that in a little bit. But I do think the AI, like, it's pretty easy to stealth.
Yeah.
They're like, you go into a bush and I feel practically invisible. Like, even if they're right next to me, they don't notice me. It's really easy to just run away. And I think that's fine. That's not game breaking. I think the situation that I was like, yeah, this is whatever, is the Nero guys where you can't fight them at all. It just has to be
you
pure
have to
stealth.
sneak.
And that's fine. But I think part of what makes a game like Days Gone interesting is having those situations where you do have a plan and you can go stealth or you can face them head on, and you have to do a mix of the two because you have a situation that changes, like somebody sees you or something comes in that's unexpected. Whereas in that situation, it was like, okay, you have to stealth, and if somebody sees you once, you have to do it again. And it's like, that wasn't as interesting to me. It didn't
sure.
feel like limiting you in that sense was worth it.
What sold me on those was you're learning about the freakers. That's when you learn so much.
Yes,
that's true.
There's this like biology major guard that like follows one of the scientists around, and they're always getting in these conversations. And he's like, so Doc, what's going on here? Just like,
Well, if you must know.
again, the acting, like I was so attached to these two random characters that are barely in this game. You never see their face. Like, awesome. Just good world building there.
Yeah. I love the hordes in this game too.
Yep.
I know they do this in other games, but I think they're really great in this game. They're actually pretty threatening if you blow it.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And you could kill them, but it's going to be probably sloppy unless you really prepare for it.
Yeah. And they make you really gear up for those.
Yeah.
Like, taking on a horde is not even really an option until you are equipped, which I love.
Try to have the gas ready, set some traps maybe, got those Molotovs, pipe bombs, grenades, big machine gun, like, dude.
So sick.
Have, like, the bike, like, space so you can get some distance and get off and kill some, get around on it.
Yeah.
It's cool, I like it.
Do you park your motorcycle, like, in the tall grass and, like, get out ever? Or?
I give myself... I definitely like, okay, I'm approaching the situation. I don't necessarily park it in the tall grass, but I'll make sure like, okay, I'm going to park enough away
me
and
too.
then sneak there.
That's what I do. Because sometimes I drove too far in and everyone's like, oh my God! The drifter! I was like, oh!
Yes. Once that happened to me, I was like, oh yeah, of course, like, park out earlier. It is, a lot of games do this. It's not just Days Gone, but I always love when the time of day is a consideration.
Me too.
When it's like, okay, they're going to be more aggressive, more powerful at night, but they're not going to be like in the nest as much. Do you want to come at night? Do you want to go at day? Love that decision. Yeah. Any game that it's in, if it's done like reasonably well. Man, it's weird because Days Gone was one of those games where it came out and it reviewed, and I just wasn't able to play a ton of it right away. And
it's still so new.
Yeah, it is. It's still so new, but I think this game is better than maybe like the general consensus of reviews is letting on.
100% I agree, man.
I can't really speak, I guess, to the quality of the overall story yet, but in terms of survival mechanics and how much fun those are to engage with, like if that even remotely sounds interesting to you, you can just kind of get into an addictive flow with this game. Like it's really fun.
It's had patches, which I'm sure has helped, because there's a lot of like I ran into like a lot of bugs in this game.
Yes,
nothing like where I'm like, oh my God, this sucks, ruining. But I've had dialogue like repeat 4 times in a row. Just kind of like, oh, that's really weird.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before the show, but I was hiding behind a door, and like the enemy just went through it, like it wasn't there. Like, it wasn't a physical object in the game. But
Shinobi on Twitter shared a really funny one. He was like, wait for it. And he's like sitting in a bush for like 10 seconds, and then an entire horde just appears around him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that is like funny to me, you know? Like you said, there's nothing that really pissed me off.
No.
I would say the only one was there's one for 100%ing a specific storyline. There's a trophy, and I did that, and the trophy didn't pop. So
it's always a bummer.
And I was like going for the platinum. I would have got it. It's
rough around the edges.
Yeah.
A small thing. I think that's really what makes this game so fascinating to me is it's kind of a bunch of small things that add up. Like they don't really sound that impressive on their own, but when you do put them all together and what Days Gone is trying to do, it's pretty awesome. I really love the way they handle bounties. Yeah. So, zombie, like when you kill humans, you can loot them, you can get ammo. That's a very good way to kind of replenish yourself mid-fight is make sure like, okay, I took down that guy, let me go get them. Zombies, obviously not freakers, whatever. Don't have ammo or resources like that in the same way, but you can get like their ears, and then you can go back into camp and like
get currency
for that. And I love that. I love that like beyond just the general experience that you're getting and leveling up, there's a physical reward for that. There's like a process of being like, okay, it really mattered that I killed this one freaker, that I put myself at a little bit of risk
for sure
to get him.
I appreciate that each camp has its own currency kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Like it makes like not this world is like in shambles and not everyone's using the same amount of stuff. Totally. You're like getting favors from each camp by working for them.
And just like immediately you go to 2 different camps, they're on edge with each other.
Yeah.
You get to make decisions like, hey, I found this thing. Do I want to bring it over here and increase rep over there, or do I want to bring it over to this other camp and increase rep over there? That's awesome. I love that you get access to more things in the shops as you increase their trust level. That's really cool.
Every time you level that up, it feels worth it.
Yes.
Like, every time.
New upgrade.
Every time you upgrade your bike.
New guns.
Like,
And there are a lot of times where like side quests, the feeling is like, yeah, I guess I'll do that. Whereas here it's like, no, I want to increase their trust. I want these extra benefits. And I really like that sort of excited, I want to chase after this feeling.
Definitely.
In a game, for sure.
I think they did a really good job with the environment too.
Yeah.
Like for a game taking place in Oregon where you think of just like just trees pretty much the whole time. They do a really good job of like diversifying areas, making them feel different. Like the desert area, and there's a couple other areas I won't go into, but are like different.
Brad, I think that's honestly one of the biggest appeals of the game is it's just kind of relaxing being alone on the bike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's just something. It's a beautiful environment. It's just soothing. And then it gets crazy and then it gets really intense. And that kind of like those really intense moments with those huge swarms. Wow. Versus just being alone on the bike. It's a nice
horde hype. The hordes are so
so
cool.
fun. When you like see them, when you're like far away and you just see like a big horde walking,
it's so
really cool.
awesome. Just like you said, setting up traps. I got like proximity bombs, and I like put them between these like two semi trucks, and then like shot some freakers and like let them through. Oh, it's so cool.
I feel like
tight quarters.
There's very little in Days Gone that is like super new. But I think it's very considered, and it doesn't matter. And I get it. I get zombie fatigue. I get post-apocalyptic fatigue. I get open world fatigue. I get all of that stuff, and I think that's fair to have those reservations. But I'm really impressed with just. It feels like there's a clear vision for this game, and I like that. I've heard the story gets pretty discombobulated, that it's not like as strong as it could be, and. While that's bad and like a criticism to bring up if it's true, I mean, you can tell me, Huber, but I almost don't care. Like being in the world is enough for me, and that part is done well enough that like I'm still going to enjoy this game regardless.
Some things pay off better than others. Some parts of the story I like more than others. Obviously, there's some weak parts to it, but at the end of the day, I like the freakers. And I like the characters. Yeah. And to me, that's it makes it all better.
I think Deacon being a good character like really helps.
Yeah.
Because you want to root for Deacon.
Totally. And Boozer.
And Booze Man.
Booze Man.
What's going on, D?
I think like Horizon Zero Dawn, I definitely want to see a sequel to this on next-gen hardware.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What could they accomplish? How crazy could they get? Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really solid. And I encourage people who were maybe discouraged by reviews or unsure to give it a look.
Give it a look.
Especially maybe if it goes on sale, if that's...
Oh, yeah.
That Black Friday sale. Wait a few more months.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's value.
That's value.
Game is so long. Yeah. Maybe a criticism.
Yeah,
maybe
Brad was saying that
it's a little too long.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly too long.
Yeah. Because for like the story moments, there's definitely highs and lows.
Definitely.
So I guess that's a question. With you having finished it and Brad, you being pretty far, a concern that I would have is I'm really into the flow of things right now. I'm really into the choices that I have. I like the different kinds of things that I'm doing. Does it get to a point pretty quickly where it's like I'm just doing the same small handful of things over and over and over again?
I got to a point where I was kind of ignoring like bounties for a little bit, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a little break. I mean, I guess that's fine because I probably do that in almost any open world game. Like sometimes clearing out the Ripper camps, I'm like, I don't feel like doing that right now. Like I always burn the nests because it's so good, so you can fast travel and stuff and unlock stuff. But I was never like, man, I really don't want to do this right now. Yeah. I don't think I ever hit that spot where I was like not having fun or anything.
Yeah, and I think the main quests do a good job of like, you're not necessarily doing anything wildly different, but the narrative framing around every mission, I think, does a good job of
new characters get introduced.
Exactly.
You learn more about them, and that's interesting.
Yeah, going out with different characters, it feels like you're doing different stuff. So,
I think if the systems weren't in place, if I didn't have to worry about resources or ammunition or gas so much, I would already be sick of clearing nests. But those things pulling on you in different ways at different times helps a lot.
Sure,
too. Let's see. Brad.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to talk about something that you're caught up with. Oh. You've been playing some Final Fantasy XIV.
Hell yeah, baby. Shadowbringers is on the way, dude. So I was like, man, I got to catch up and be ready for when it comes out. When Stormblood came out, I beat the base story of what the content there was available at the time.
Yeah.
Then years later, patches came out, or however long it's been.
So it's 14 Heavensward Stormblood?
So yeah, A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, then Shadowbringers.
Got it.
So I was like, all right, man, it's time to get caught up, baby. So I can just hop right in. So I was doing all that patch content. There's the gold saucer I didn't mess around with too much before, but this time, so let me say why. They added the Final Fantasy XV event in it.
So sick.
So you could there's like a quest line that takes it's like an hour or two. It's just cool, like with Noctis being in the world, helping Noctis fix his car, pretty much. It's the whole thing. You fight some of the enemies from 14. You fight a boss with Noctis. You get Warp Strike, Huber.
Yes.
You're Warp Striking with Noctis.
Dude, does
In
it feel
14?
awesome?
Yes.
I didn't know you warp strike.
You get Warp Strike and there's like a encounter where you Warp Strike.
Just the encounter? It's not. Can you like?
No, it's
have
just
it
for
on
like
your
a boss
toolbar?
fight. It's for a boss fight.
Brad, that's
Cool.
pretty
Yeah,
hype.
it's pretty
man.
sick, dude. But then after all that, you unlock the ability to get his outfit, get his hair, and you could get the car, the regalia for a mount.
Do you see Prompto, Ignis,
No,
Gladio
it's
at all?
just Noctis. He's like in Eorzea. He came in here somewhere and he's trying to get back, pretty much.
Could you
Does
get?
he drive his car through a portal?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes. It's very funny.
Could you get Lightning's outfit a while back?
Yes,
Yes.
you could.
So you could have Lightning and Noctis rolling around together.
I mean,
now.
you could get. There's like rewards if you're subbed for a certain amount of time. There's like Cloud's Advent Children outfit. There's Squall's
That's the
outfit.
best.
There's Zidane's outfit.
You know better than anybody. Dreams come true.
Yeah, there's Zidane's outfit. There's I think there's Tidus
Wait,
and
there's
Yuna.
Zidane's outfit?
Yes,
I
there
didn't
is.
realize there was Zidane's outfit in the game.
And I think there's Yuna's also. But yeah.
Yuna's summoner?
yeah,
Or,
from
okay.
10. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're in there. But yeah, they always throw in like cool little things like that. So, but to get like a lot of Noctis' stuff, like his clothes and his hair and his car, you had to get the gold saucer currency pretty much. Mm-hmm. So this time I delved into gold saucer. I love gold saucer in Final Fantasy VII. I was like, all right, dude, it's really time for me to step in and do everything gold saucer has to offer. I had a great time, dude.
What sort of stuff were you doing to grind out that currency?
Immediately, there's definitely better methods to doing it. But one thing I just like doing for fun in Gold Saucer was Triple Triad Ben. Playing Triple Triad, unlocking new cards. Like I got a Noctis card from, and it's just awesome having a Noctis card.
How
there.
powerful is the Noctis
It's
card?
pretty good. You can buy a Cloud card, and it's so much, dude. As it should be though. It's like 1 million.
Is it like Cloud FF7, Cloud Advent Children?
I think it's 7.
Okay.
I think it is. But yeah, you can get that. There's just like a bunch of cool little events. And then there's something like every 20 minutes there's like a community event that people can do. There's like one that's a platforming thing where you're just in a big area with everyone like platforming, like jump puzzles, kind of stuff like
fun.
that. Yeah, it's really cool. There's one where you're like riding an airplane. It's almost like the roller coaster. I would say it's the equivalent of that from 7. But you're just like in a plane shooting targets, stuff like that. Just really goofy stuff. There's like when you're in the middle, you're just trying to dodge AoEs and not get hit out. There's also a fashion report every week where you like get a task to equip certain items that match up with a theme, and you get a reward based on that.
It's jolly.
Yeah, it's really jolly.
If you wear Lightning's outfit, you should win.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Victory.
Yeah.
But
But it's
insta win.
There's just like goofy, there's like chocobo racing there. I haven't really messed around with that too much yet though, and there's like stables there.
So with this Noctis event, how long did it take you to kind of see the story?
To do the event?
Yeah.
It was like hour and a half. It was really short.
Nice.
Cool.
But it was just like, it didn't need to be longer, I felt like.
Man, Final Fantasy XIV has had so many cool things. Like
Yeah.
the way that they've expanded just the game itself and then all these collaboration events. It's really cool.
Oh, I had the pleasure of like doing a lot of this with Master Damiani,
Yeah.
like the master of this game. So I always felt really chill doing everything with Damiani. He took me through like a series of boss fights that were based off Final Fantasy VI Ben.
Nice.
So one of the boss fights, the first boss fight I did with him was Phantom Train. And how they implement these boss fights is so cool. Like you're on the train, dude.
Yeah.
And the train head is like facing you, and you're fighting it. The ghosts come out from like 6 like that.
So cool.
You go like different parts of the train. There's a fight with the painting boss fight from 6. There's like a Magitech boss fight, and the last fight is with Kefka actually. So you actually fight Kefka.
How's the laugh?
He does that, wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah, like that. Yeah, he does that
Okay.
actually. It's great, and I got like a little Kefka minion after it that he's like
Nice.
with me, and he like laughs and stuff. It's so
That's
cool.
amazing.
Like if you're a Final Fantasy fan, there's so much to love about this game.
Yeah, the way they implemented the Monster Hunter fight, it was
Yeah,
just
I haven't
it
done
felt
that yet.
so authentic.
I still need to do it
Yeah,
too.
it's still there.
Man, it's every time either you or Damiani or like somebody in the community talks about like, hey, here's this cool thing that Final Fantasy XIV is doing, it's like, I want to do it. I really do. I want to do it so bad.
It's a time sink.
Yeah, it gets a little
It's a
overwhelming
commitment.
because I was like, you're talking about this cool Final Fantasy 15 event. I didn't even know about the Final Fantasy 6 stuff. And so it's getting to the point where it's like, there's so much awesome stuff. And then Shadowbringers is right around the corner. And it's just like, it's a little bit, it makes me a little anxious.
Sure. Yeah.
Doing the full dive back in. But like anything, you get used to it. I'm sure.
It's so hard to like relearn your rotation.
The first step is the hardest, man.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest. Like, I was lucky because I have Damiani and I've been playing with Kristen and like other people in the community, so it's really fun playing with people.
Yeah.
And like anytime I'm with Damiani, he just tells me what to do, where to go, like how to do this. He's like, hey, let's do this. This is cool. There's like an Evilise raid I haven't even done yet.
Whoa.
They're gonna add the Nier one.
The Nier raid, man.
Like, there's so much cool stuff in this game.
Did Geralt show up in 14?
Not yet. I would be so
Geralt showed up in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Brad, it's cool. Like Damiani is like a devout Final Fantasy XIV player, and so you have like different tiers of players. You have the hardest of the hardcore, and then you have people like you who are interested but not playing it all the time,
right?
Not year round. And it's cool for a game like this, Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn, which has been out for years now, that it sounds like it's not just as exciting as it's always been, or that it's maintained, or that it's like good every once in a while, but that like in some ways it's better than ever.
I would say because the 14 has a good story.
Yeah.
So I would say the story like kind of gets better as it goes throughout expansion. Right, like, I'm motivated to keep going, so I want to see what happens. Like I know these characters now have been through so long, so it's really fun playing an MMO that has a really solid like single player story.
Yeah, I think it's exciting that people are as enthused for this game that's been going on for so long as they are. I think that is really, really cool. I think Square Enix has put in a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah.
This team has put in a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be credited. But Brad, you're getting me excited with all this stuff. Is there anything else that you did either with Damiani or just kind of on your own with Final Fantasy XIV that you'd like to bring up?
I don't know.
What's your best pet?
My best pet? It's Kefka now.
Kefka, yeah.
I had like a cool red mage I really liked.
Yeah. I think I have the red mage.
Yeah. Cool mounts though. Got the Regalia.
Yeah,
like, that's
gotta get
just
that.
badass.
Gotta get that.
Has that
Rathalos
cool
mount.
animation of like taking off and like turning into the airship.
And you got the cloud bike, right?
Hell yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They got me, dude.
Yep.
I had to. I pulled
No,
a Huber
absolutely.
moment, dude. I was like, all right, dude.
That bike
I
was
like,
made for you.
Yeah, it's like you're doing me dirty. I have to get this.
Yeah.
So they got me.
We all love Final Fantasy and Warcraft.
Yeah.
I feel like a passive observer now when I play World of Warcraft in relation to the story. You know, I never feel like I'm really part of the story anymore in WoW. It's more like I'm going through the motions and I'm just kind of watching it from a distance.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way, Brad? Like you brought up the story in 14.
Yeah, in
being
14
so
you're
strong.
like actually involved in everything.
Yeah.
Like you're like a part of the story
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, WoW, you're kind of more. You're just kind of there. I feel like you're just kind of a normal soldier. I feel like in WoW, or it seems like of course like WoW got better as time went on. But I feel like in 14 it's much more focused on giving you a single player, even though it's an MMO like experience though too.
Nice. Cool.
I think the slow way they develop the storyline and a lot of the characters and the way it builds up is part of what makes it so investing in 14.
Yeah.
That's hype.
I think this is the best time to do this. We've been talking about Cloud. Everybody's excited for the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Hell yeah.
And in fact, the demons of the Frame Trap realm are excited about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so they've come up with a game for us called Cloud Everywhere. Outside of Final Fantasy VII, based on my quick internet research, Cloud has been in 36 other games. or what I should say, not necessarily Cloud himself, but some representation of Cloud, like his clothes or something like that. And so I've come up with a list of games, and you need to tell me if Cloud is in them. Say either yes or no. Whoever is the first to get it right.
Even if it's just like his outfit or something?
Yes, even if it's just his outfit. So the question isn't really is Cloud in this, it is Cloud represented in this. Yeah. So the first person to say yes or no, the first person to get it right will get a point. The person with the most points at the end wins.
Woo! Cloud, Brad, no pressure.
Yeah, I do think Brad has an advantage, but that's all right. All right, the first game, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad coming out swinging. Final Fantasy XI.
No.
No.
Brad's just beating you by a little bit. You're getting them right.
It's
You're
okay.
getting them right.
It's okay.
All right, next one. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles My Life is King.
No.
No. Yeah.
Huber.
On that. My life is king.
My Life is King.
That'd be sick if he was in it.
World of Final Fantasy. Damn.
Sure. Yeah. I'll say yeah.
Yeah, you're both right. Last one. Guys, God bless
Yes.
the ring. Yeah.
What is that?
the
It's a fighting game on PS1.
Tifa's in
Oh,
it too,
okay.
and Sephiroth. Is
Cool.
Aerith in that too? I can't remember.
I don't think Aerith's in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know those three were in it though.
They had a demo for Guys in a Target.
Yeah. Dude, demos at Target.
Yeah.
I am ready to punch
It's Spider-Man 2 in
Sephiroth
it.
in the face
As Tifa?
as Tifa.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
Oh my god.
Brad,
Right in the kisser.
you dominated that very quick, lightning fast, caught in a frame trap, and you have the privilege of breaking us
Oh,
out. But
okay.
before we get there, we do have to read about our wonderful sponsors, or
excellent.
talk about our wonderful sponsors, really quick. The first sponsor is Greg the Dark Knight Kettering. Thank you for your continued support, Greg. Next, we have Zoteg with a very timely message. Do you play Final Fantasy XIV? Are you on the Crystal Data Center? Search at Zoteg on Twitter for a link to an EZA Crystal Discord server. Thank you, Zoteg, and search him up if you want to play Final Fantasy XIV. Next, we have JoJo's Dent Co. Thank you, JoJo's Dent Co. Next, we have Accounts Payable. And Huber, since you lost the game, I'm actually going to give this to you.
Cool.
Accounts Payable always gives us a free shout-out. What would you like to shout out?
Shout
It
out.
can be anything.
Shout out to Predator.
Good shout out.
Shout out.
Good shout out. Next, we have Gift of Heaven. Gift of Heaven is a free 3DS RPG which strives to be as funny as Earthbound, efficient as Chrono Trigger, and epic as Final Fantasy VI. Gift of Heaven quadruples every data limit of RPG Maker FES using passwords to unite 4 game files as one bold explosion. OM Hawkstelter is cooking the rip-roaring, full-blast, Tolkien, Potter, Gump combo meal you deserve to eat. And them Hawkstelters don't skip on the shrimp. Gift of Heaven's 43-minute promotional short film, Symphonia Anathema, is now available on the official Gift of Heaven YouTube channel. Download the prologue August 7th via the RPG Maker FES 3DS app. Currently at 503 hours of development time, and the prologue is 85% finished. Thank you, Gift of Heaven. Last but certainly not least for our regular sponsors, we have Blue.
Oh.
Blue. And now it is time for a brand new... Well, you've heard about him on the Easy Allies podcast, but first time on Frame Trap, our mega sponsor, Heroic Replicas. The fine folks at Heroic Replicas design and fabricate true-to-form, high-quality replicas and props. From legendary gear to keepsakes or all-metal creations, Heroic Replicas can make something special for you. Through the month of May, Heroic Replicas is auctioning off 4 unique items, one each week, with proceeds going directly to fund future months of sponsorship for the Easy Allies. The first item up for auction, how cool is this, is a custom Dark Link Master Sword from The Legend of Zelda. It features a tempered high-carbon blade, a rough bronze hilt with a black onyx finish, and cast pewter accents. Bidding starts at $1 and the auction ends Tuesday night, May 14th. But at the time you're probably hearing this, there's another auction coming up. The second item will be the Mermaid's Pendant. The Mermaid's Pendant features a brilliant blue seashell with a sterling silver chain. In Stardew Valley, you may give this to the person you want to marry. In real life, it works about the same. Bidding also starts at $1. There are 3 of these available, and the auctions for the Mermaid's Pendant end on Tuesday, May 21st. If you want to help support Heroic Replicas and Easy Allies, follow and retweet at Heroic Replicas on Twitter.
Do you think Heroic Replicas has a Kirkhammer?
I mean, after they hear this, maybe. I don't know.
Picking that up, dude.
You're going to get a hit Kirkhammer at some point. It's going to happen. Miyazaki's going to fly in here and...
It's the best.
Brad,
Yeah.
rightfully so, canonically, you have defeated the cloud-centric caught in frame trap. How would you like to get us out of here?
I'm going to use a nice little callback to our playthrough, Ben,
Okay.
that we did at Game Trailers of Final Fantasy VII. The first time we did it little spell called Bolt.
Oh God,
Had the pleasure of bolting yourself out of part.
it was a mistake. It was just a simple mistake.
It was very far into the playthrough. It was like 7 something hours. We were very
I think
tired.
it was fighting Rufus.
Yes, you were
Yeah.
fighting Rufus.
Yeah.
Just give him a little bolt. Just
Yep. Yep. Huber, yeah, I just like
I remember.
accidentally target. Yeah, okay.
I remember.
Everyone knows.
I wasn't there, but I saw it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Classic.
Yeah.
I still get tweets about that. They're like, "Hey, you remember when you bolted yourself?" Yes, I remember. I was there.
Awesome.
The worst part was when Kyle turned off the stream when we just got Omni Slash. We would remember when he cut
I
the
don't
stream.
remember that.
When we got it and we did it, he ended the stream. So you and me were like, "Yeah, dude," freaking out, and he ended the stream. He just trolled everyone so hard.
Cool, Kyle.
Once you got
Really
Army Slash.
cool.
Yeah.
Hubert, I've been wanting to kind of have a deep dive with this game with you for a while now. We've talked about it, but we haven't talked about it on Frame Trap. I finished Batman Arkham Knight.
Ooh.
It's a game that you've been praising for a long time.
Yes.
And man, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a game that when it came out in 2015, I started it and then I went back to it, and the Batmobile stuff, like, it was fine, but I didn't love the Batmobile combat. I still don't love the Batmobile combat. It's not my favorite part of the game.
Just a little too much. Just a little bit.
There's a little too much. But there is so much good in that game. Like, it's like, yeah, there are things to harp on. There are things I don't like, but it was so much fun playing it.
Awesome.
And experiencing it together. And I think the first thing that I want to talk about is just the combat, man.
Yes.
You constantly talk about how good the Batman Arkham combat is, and I think in Arkham Knight it is really fantastic. Yeah. Every situation you're approaching, you just get into this rhythm where they're slowly giving you new mechanics to build off of. They're giving you new enemies. They're giving you new, like, mixtures of enemies. There's, like, the big guys, for instance.
Yeah.
These big guys you have to stun and then beat a lot, and then you'll take them down. But when they throw, like, 3 of them at you in a group where there are also electrical enemies, where there are also bladed enemies, you really have to, like, use the environment to your advantage if you can. You have to use your gadgets to try to distract them, to try to create space for yourself. And it's just really satisfying. I think there's, like, a fundamental simplicity to it, but the way that it builds over time is really, really cool.
Yeah, nothing better than, like, my favorite thing to do is, like, the 1 versus 100, like, challenge mode, you know, where it's just like, okay, throw as many dudes at me as possible.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, 2 of my favorite moves to pull off in video games is from the Arkham quadrilogy.
The knife?
I'll say,
The knife
is
disarm?
the blade dodge takedown, like, getting that and, like, cracking their arm, and getting a gun and dismantling it.
Yeah.
Just so satisfying every time.
And it's cool because, like, when you're going through the main story, you don't have to do the fights perfectly. You can just kind of get through them. But, like, the Azrael stuff, where it's like, okay, you're going to have to face this group of enemies, and you cannot get hit. And I love just pushing for you getting better and just trying until you finally get it. And you're like, oh, man, I've really reached a new level with this combat, which is cool.
Definitely.
And the fear multi-takedown is so good and so satisfying. And I was immediately dumping skill points in to get more people to take them more down at once. And at first, when I initially got it, I even said to you, I was like, man, this feels like too broken.
Yeah.
But they really balance it out later on in the game because they just give you more and more guys.
Yeah.
And you have to earn it by, like, sneaking up on them and, like, finding the right approach. But also, once you use it, that's it until you make the effort to go and do more silent takedowns.
Yeah.
And I love that trade-off where it's like, okay, I do this big fear takedown thing. There are a bunch of guys. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's like if there are 5 guys grouped up together, if you have the right skills and you do it correctly, you can take them all down very, very quickly. But if there's 15 guys, there's still 10 of them you have to deal with. It's not like you can keep doing the fear takedown over and over, which is cool.
Like, I feel like there's 2 ways to really analyze Arkham Knight, and that's on its own and then part of the trilogy. And I feel like if you go from Asylum all the way through City to Night, there is a constant escalation.
Yes.
And I love that. It's like you keep getting stronger, and they contextualize that with like, now you have new upgrades to your suit, like Arkham Knight. You have this like carbon fiber, blah, blah, blah. You're faster, stronger. And it's like, well, your enemies are getting stronger too. You're fighting the Arkham Knight, and he like has you figured out. It's like you go from, just Arkham crazies to Arkham City has like those guards, which are pretty intense, all the way to Knight and his crew. And it's just, this steady escalation. And like Arkham Knight does that perfect job of just Batman's on edge.
Yes.
Right from the get-go, when he has the Batmobile like running over the guy's face, he's like, not tonight.
Yeah.
Like, you are not messing with me tonight.
Yeah, so he puts this like lackey underneath the Batmobile, and you get to rev up the tire like right on top of his face. It's pretty intense.
It's pretty
Unhinged.
badass. I love it. It's Batman.
Yeah.
I think Batman Arkham Knight does a pretty excellent job of showing the relationship Batman has to all of the different people in his life and how that gets tested on a night like Arkham Knight. And really getting inside Batman's head. I felt like this was a very personal story, and the way that it ended and the things Batman goes through to get there felt pretty fantastic. I do think the Arkham Knight himself is not great.
The low point.
Yeah.
It's weird, man, because I see what they were trying to go with the story that they're trying to tell. I can see where they're coming from with the Arkham Knight and why they tried to insert him the way that they did. But when I really think about it, it almost didn't need him.
Yeah.
It almost didn't need the Arkham Knight at all.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I'm so conflicted by it. I just did a replay not too long ago, and I was like, okay, fresh perspective now, going back, like, is the Arkham Knight as bad as I remember? And I'm like, yeah, just kind of falls flat for me.
Yeah. Like the reveal, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
Well, man,
the
reveal on who it is it's like by the time you get there, they hint at it, and then they like basically show you directly, and there's like just so many layers to it where it's like, I know who it is.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping for is like my replay. It's like, well, I know who it is now, so I don't need to be like, who is it? I think I know who it is, but is it? So it's like with all that baggage gone, it's like, okay, I can look at it without that, and it was still just kind of.
But kind of speaking about the relationships, I really appreciate how much they incorporate other people. Depending on what mission you're doing, you'll get to interact with other characters and just like doing dual takedowns with them, switching between them. It's just super exciting and fun, and they don't do it too much, and it's spaced out enough that it's pretty exciting and cool every time.
I love that Nightwing is the one tracking Penguin. He's always keeping tabs on Penguin, and you can like meet up with Nightwing when you do some Penguin missions. That stuff's so good.
And like the way that he pokes at Batman is pretty cool.
Dick, he'll poke. He'll poke.
He'll poke, dude. Nightwing, bro? You don't mess with me, Bruce.
Don't mess with Grayson, dude.
I was talking about the car combat and how that wasn't my favorite. But the Riddler stuff with the car is some of my favorite stuff in the entire game, and I think it's really creative. And so in all of the Arkham games, you have these Riddler puzzles that you have to solve, and you have those here as well, but a lot of the ones in his kind of main side mission are you using the car for puzzles, and I found them really creative. I found them fun to solve. I didn't find them overly convoluted, and those races are so much fun. The last race that you do for the Riddler is maybe the most intense thing that I did in the entire game. And to kind of give context for the audience, you're racing in the Batmobile, and you have control over a lot of the platforms. Some of them, the Riddler controls, and so you're like, okay, I need to lift this thing up and then put this thing down, and then create this ramp. And so you're solving a puzzle and racing at the same time, and fusing those two together is really satisfying.
And every lap is faster, Batman. Oh my god.
Yeah, very, very good.
So how many times did you accidentally press the button like too soon or too late? You're like,
oh yeah, that was definitely something that happened with like the speed that you're going. There'd be times where I'd hit the button and be like, oh, I'm certainly clear of this platform above me. yeah, that happened several times.
So awesome. What was your favorite villain storyline? Or which did you have the most fun
villain
doing?
Storyline. There were a lot of them I really liked. The thing about the villain storylines that was hard for me is sometimes like the the part where you're finding out information to get to the next kind of big chunk wasn't that satisfying. There was a lot of like, okay, it's somewhere out in the world, go find it, and then kind of like the Penguin is a good example where like actually teaming up with Nightwing and doing those battles was awesome, but I pretty quickly got sick of like, okay, go find the car, tag the car, follow the car. Like
Trace
it just
it.
didn't. That sort of thing wasn't that fun.
Yeah, just
all the
maybe
time.
again, like just a few too many things here and there. So like a few too many of those. Because the idea, like I remember the idea of being perched on a building and hearing these thugs like just talking about like Penguin and the Bat and like, you know, just like living that Batman fantasy like comes to life so much in Arkham Knight.
Not including the DLC, I think like in the core game, my favorite storylines were probably the Pig.
Professor
was
Pig,
really good.
Yes.
Pig. Who else? I'm blanking on somebody. Pig Riddler. Riddler's definitely up there.
Riddler for sure.
And one more. Oh, Azrael. So those three are kind of the first, are probably my favorite. I enjoyed all of them to some extent. I didn't do every Riddler puzzle in the game, but I went as far as I could until he was like, hey, go get everything in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you do like 60% or something, and then there's nothing until you 100%.
Right.
It. Yeah.
I haven't played this since it came out.
Yeah.
Scarecrow's heavily featured in this one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's my favorite villain, so I remember like that was highlights for
They
me.
use him a little bit differently than they have in past Arkham games, but he's really fun.
They saved him up because he wasn't in some of them.
He wasn't in 2.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right. Was he in Origins?
He's not in Origins as well.
Okay,
Just
so he's
one.
Asylum
Yeah.
and Night.
He's
okay.
not in City?
No.
Man.
No.
You
There's
you
like
can,
the traces of
Yeah, you
him.
can find his boat. He has
Okay.
like a little boat out there, and
Yeah.
there's like some rats and
So
stuff.
I
and-
played through City, and I felt like I
Yeah.
remembered him in City, but I must be misremembering. Oh, he's great in Arkham, though. Arkham Asylum.
And then what is that? Asylum or City? There's like I think Asylum, like the hand comes up, but
That's
it
the end of
changes.
Asylum.
Okay, it changes. It's
Yeah,
either
it
Croc
could be like
or
Croc or
I don't know
Scarecrow.
which canon. Which one's canon?
So I haven't done, it's the Infamy DLC. I haven't done all of those yet.
Yeah.
Still want to do those, and then like the Batgirl and Harley Quinn and all those storylines.
Yeah.
But I did do the Mad Hatter one. It was pretty simple.
So great.
And
Brad,
I haven't done any of the
It's
DLC.
really short.
it's really, really short.
Oh my god, the
So,
Mad Hatter one
here's
is.
the thing
I
that-
only think of you.
That kind of sucks about the Mad Hatter stuff is he's put all these hostages in the back of cop cars throughout the city, and you have to go and you have to find them. And that part like really isn't that much fun because you go and you find the person, and then you have to do this word game where you rotate the analog sticks to create this word, and it's just not that fun. And you do it a handful of times, but the ending and your kind of final showdown is so good, and this happens a lot. I feel like in Arkham Knight, where it's just really cool and clever, and it's short, but it made up for the rest of it. And I've pretty much felt that way with a lot of the storylines.
Yeah.
Like there are a ton of firefighters to find, so I went and I found all the firefighters. But that worked because just being Predator Batman and getting in combat was so much fun. Like I didn't think that storyline was that cool or that engaging for most of it. The end has some kind of neat revelations, but just engaging with the core of the combat was really cool.
So good.
Yeah, it is really good.
I cannot wait to spoil the 100% ending to you. When can I do it? Not on here, but when can I tell you the end?
Well, see, it's something that I'm playing with my girlfriend, and it just kind of depends on like her interest in the game.
Okay, let me
That
know.
determines like how far we go, and she's still into it. So I
Cool.
want to keep playing Batman.
I'm itching.
I really don't want to
Itching.
find all that Riddler stuff. I don't. Like I want to do the villain storylines. That
Yeah.
stuff is exciting to me, but the riddles not so
Okay.
much. So we'll see. We'll
Let
see
me
if
know.
we get there. But yeah, I'll let you know.
I can't wait.
I'll let you know.
Cannot wait.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Rocksteady.
I feel like there's
Please be at E3.
one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, the performances. Like, obviously, Kevin Conroy's Batman, untouchable. Mark Hamill's Joker, untouchable.
Untouchable.
But the guy, I'm blanking on his name from Breaking Bad, who plays Gordon.
Mike Ehrmantraut.
Yes.
It's his real name is Jonathan Banks. Sorry, Jonathan Banks.
It's okay. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because I thought he did a wonderful Jim Gordon.
Totally.
There are some scenes that really rely on him, and he does a great job.
Is that Do you bring people back to the station in this one?
Yes.
I remember.
It's one of the best things.
Best.
Okay,
Yeah, that
so
was cool.
as you,
up.
yes. So as you're bringing in villains to the GCPD, you have this like awkward drive back where it's like, okay, I solved your plan, but it's a collection, and so you keep coming back to GCPD, and it's a really cool visual way to mark your progress through the game because they're just all in a cell together, and like as you're bringing them in, they'll be like, oh, hey, welcome back, Penguin, he's your boss. Yeah, it's
So
cool.
good.
Rocksteady really nails the details in their
the
game.
details.
And I just want more.
It was
Yeah.
really cool to like finally be in Gotham City too, like proper,
yeah.
after so long.
Yep. Totally.
Wayne Tower and all that, dude.
Oh
so
my
hype.
god, the Wayne freaking Tower storyline
Yeah.
is so good. And just being up there, yeah, Brad. And just again, like that's why I think I like love like even the stuff that kind of repeats itself, like those Penguin missions. It's just like being in a back alley, like,
Well, it's like
just one street lamp.
Never has like Batman done like a game done that so well.
Yeah.
Final criticism, we kind of touched on it because I think we know what we're talking about, but just to be clear to the audience. So, like, you can just finish the main story of the game, and then there's something that happens, and it's like, hey, go check these other things off, and then when you do this, we'll unlock the next part of the story. And so I did it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do all this side stuff to get there. And I was really annoyed because it's like, okay, now you did all that stuff. Now 100% the game. And it's like, what? Like, that's... Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Because it's like... I don't want to get into it without spoilers.
Yeah.
But, like, they kind of justify it. You know? Like think about this.
Yeah.
Would Batman call it a night before every criminal was behind
No,
bars?
and I think that's
like, would
fair.
he leave Riddler out there? No way.
Right. I'm with you on that. And they do say that in the storyline where they're like, hey, Batman wants to take care of these people.
Yeah.
It's just with the Riddler stuff specifically. You're going through Riddler's storyline and you're like fighting him, and he literally disappears into a floor and goes, go get all my collectibles. And it's like, okay, I'm all for context, but this feels a little forced.
For sure.
Yeah. He's just like, haha, I'm going to pop back out once you've collected all of my little trinkets, which on some level is kind of a Riddler thing.
Totally. He's testing your resolve.
Yeah, I think it could have maybe been handled a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah.
The payoff is worth it.
Yeah.
I assure you.
Yeah.
Man,
We'll see. We'll
I
see.
miss Batman.
Anyway, the ultimate point here, I think that really the only thing that matters is I've really enjoyed my time with the game.
I'm so glad that, like, it's never too late, man. Years
It's never
later.
too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late
And-
to play a game.
And what's great is, like, I feel like all the controversy was maybe not on the forefront, because here you are years later just
I
playing
don't even
it.
remember the controversy.
Just the
Batmobile.
Batmobile stuff, you know, and all that.
That's what I
and-
remember.
Yeah. Everyone just being so mad about the Batmobile, and now you got to just kind of play it maybe with a little less noise, you know?
Yeah, Huber, I think maybe the noise is like what contributed to the initial start and stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, man. Like, you don't have to play everything immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to play everything the way everybody else is. Like, sometimes it's nice to just give a game a little bit of space, let it breathe, get away from whatever shitty internet hot takes are happening, and go and play it and enjoy it on your own terms.
Yes.
It's the best. Like,
Yes.
it's awesome being able to talk about Batman Arkham Knight. I don't care if it's the hot thing.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
It's so good.
It's a good game.
The Arkham trilogy, man. Perfection. And Origins. I know we
Yeah,
always
so-
say Arkham trilogy because it's Rocksteady, but man, Origins.
Now I've played through Asylum, City, and Night. I have not played Origins,
Oh,
and I'd like to play Origins. I'd like to
So
go back
I
to
wish
Origins.
they put it in the collection, man, or like the remaster.
So it's
I
not in
know.
the PS4
It's-
collection?
No.
No, there's no remaster of Origins.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
I have a PS3 copy if you want to borrow that. I played through the DLC for the first time ever on stream during Christmas. It was Christmas themed DLC.
Nice,
And
nice.
that was fun.
Well, the game's Christmas like time, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. So good.
Shock
So solid.
gloves. OP.
The shock glove, yeah.
OP.
Yeah. Take the shock gloves
Easy
out.
carry.
That Deathstroke boss fight, though.
Oh.
Hardest boss fight in all Arkham. Straight up. Gives me so much trouble. That is tough.
The way they eventually implement him in Knight is pretty cool.
I forgot about it. I forgot
It's
about
pretty
it.
cool. It's
That
pretty
is
cool.
so cool. Oh my gosh. Oh. What are they working on, Ben? Before we move on, what are they working on? Throw it out there.
Shenmue 3.
They're working on Final Fantasy VII. Dude.
Rio.
They're helping.
Blade dodge takedown.
Yep.
Dude, that'd be cool.
I don't know if you feel this way, Huber, but the next game that we're going to talk about is kind of like Days Gone for me, where like I'm like, wow, like this is good. This is really good, and that's World War Z.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, I feel like the game accomplished exactly what it set out to do, which is shooting zombies in a
your
multiplayer
pals.
setting with your friends.
Yeah.
And you can just joke around and have fun. And for those of you who are not familiar with this World War Z game, but it's very popular, so probably most of you
Yeah.
are, it's basically Left 4 Dead.
It's third
It is
person Left 4
third-person
Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
That is not trying to be reductive. That just is what it is.
Yep.
There are differences. There are changes. But it makes you realize how much you miss goddamn Left 4 Dead.
I know.
It is filling an important void.
It really is. And I think that's why it sold so well. And it's like, hey,
It's 40
I mean, Turtle Rock is making Back for Blood or
Yeah.
Back for Blood, it's called, right?
Yeah, something like that.
that we don't know very much
We
about.
don't really know much about that, but it's like there's a desire for these types of games.
yeah,
and
like
it's,
Vermintide, kind of like that. I mean, it's first person, it's way different, but same kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I love it. Some modern stuff in there. As time has gone on, we've leaned more into RPG progression,
Yes.
which is
Way more enemies on screen,
which
too.
is a good thing, I think, for this game.
yeah.
Right, and so just to break that down a little
many
bit
enemies.
to describe it is you have different classes that you can pick, and then as you level up in that class, you'll get skills, and you'll have different like tiers of skills. You can pick one skill within that tier, and then as you use weapons, you'll individually level up those weapons. But I think it gets a lot of the nuts and bolts right, where like we were playing it, and I had to worry about ammo just enough.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of the like, hey, defend this scenes happened where they were just like, in these types of games when you're playing with your friends, it's important that you feel like you kind of just barely get over it, or
Yeah.
just enough goes wrong to increase that tension. And I feel like a lot like Left 4 Dead, a special zombie would appear, like be hiding around the corner at just the right time, where we'd have to go save Jones or something.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. You can easily melee with just the touch of a button.
There's the melee class too, which can just like
haven't used the melee class.
It's slasher, and they like don't get tired, so they keep the same
That's cool.
speed. And that's something I did notice. I played on my own to kind of just finish up all the stages, and I cranked the difficulty up a little bit, and I noticed like, wow, like having kind of a variety of classes on your team actually matters when you turn the difficulties up, because Ben, you're talking about running out of ammo.
Yeah.
There's a class that puts ammo down, and the medic, when the medic revives you and you get more health, and the stim pack. And it's like, I ran into a problem where I was like the exterminator, which is like explosives and shotguns, and then we had two other gunslingers. So a horde comes, and there was this overlap of grenade, C4, and we were just like wasting explosives, and we didn't really have like the tools kind of to make it through, and we ended up wiping. So I appreciate it that it's like, oh, you actually kind of need to pay attention to this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you kind of need to pay attention to this stuff is true in so many ways. There are turrets that are around, and when we play this on the group stream, so if you want to get kind of our in the moment reactions to World War Z, that's a good way to watch it. There were turrets around, and I think we did like one fight where we didn't use it at all, and then we did use it, and it made it so much easier.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you want. But there's not infinite ammo in those things,
Yeah.
and so you have to think about it a little bit. And World War Z, at least from what I remember in the movie, is very well known for its giant swarms of zombies, and I actually think they use that to a pretty decent degree here. They construct scenes in a way where you're like kind of off to the side, and you see this giant horde climbing up, and you're just kind of helplessly shooting at it, trying to decrease it, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a decent looking game, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely got a little framey. I feel
Oh,
like.
it has a ton of problems.
Yeah.
A ton of problems and bugs here, bugs there. Ton. Yeah, I don't want to say the. Yeah, it's got its fair share of problems like bugs and whatnot, and it is a little light on content. Like there's only so many levels. Like you can get through every level in like under 5 hours, pretty easy breezy. But
So
they've already said that they're gonna keep supporting it and add free stuff, another new level coming, and
I get that, and I think that is totally valid.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really appreciated when we were playing. Like none of the missions that we were doing felt too long. But they also didn't feel too short. I felt pretty satisfied every time we got to the end.
Yeah,
of
it took you
something.
guys like an hour probably each thing.
And that felt right.
yeah.
It really did.
I was watching you guys play. This is what I noticed. There's not a lot of specialty type zombies. A lot. Like I saw you guys fight the bull guy like 100 times.
There's the bull, the lurker, I think, and the
Is that the guy that
gas
just
bag.
runs into you and just dies or whatever?
The gas bag ones
Okay.
do. They like
I saw you
rush
guys
at
playing like
you.
a zombie would jump into you guys and it would just die.
Yeah,
What
they
happened?
die really quickly.
I do think that the special type of infected are like painfully generic. They're just straight up from Left 4 Dead, where you can make a Left 4 Dead comparison with every single one of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do think that's boring. There was a lot of times where it's like, oh, it's just another bull, or oh, it's just another hazmat guy. So I think more of them, and them being a little bit more outlandish with it, would have gone.
Yeah, because I feel like in Left 4 Dead when like a tank showed up, it was like
And that
whoa.
music.
Yeah. It was like really serious when it would show up.
Tanks. Yeah, I feel like a couple boss zombies could go a long way.
Sure.
Like that would
Hopefully
be.
they'll add it or something.
Yeah.
And Brett, we were talking about it on the stream, but we were just kind of talking about the creativity of the levels in Left 4 Dead 2, like that concert level that you do.
Dude, the amusement park.
nothing-
Amusement park going up the roller
Circus.
coaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing was quite on that level of excitement
but it's
for me.
just probably like a solid
Yes.
scratching that itch.
Yes,
Yeah.
it scratched the itch for sure.
Big time. I really like it. And it's crazy because like I think of Evolve,
Yeah.
and it's like they are so different, but it's like I really like going through a level,
Yeah.
trying to get from point A to point B while monsters are just swarming you. Like that's exciting to me.
I could really go for another Evolve. I think
Predator.
I think I liked Evolve more than a lot of people did, and that game had a lot of things that worked against it in a lot of ways, both with like the way that they monetized it and everything. But I really liked the core idea of Evolve, and I had a lot of fun with it.
The monsters
And
were so cool.
The monsters were so cool, and it just felt like a pretty inventive idea. Like it's kind of a shame that it's like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Like I'd really love another earnest crack at it. I think there
Yeah.
is something there that could be fleshed out to a more significant degree.
Totally. Did you play much Friday the 13th?
No. I played a couple of matches, and that was my extent of Friday the 13th. Cool. I feel like I need to play Friday the 13th with you.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's
You have to put it through.
that's the way that I need
Yes.
to experience that game. So if you're down someday,
Yeah.
you should do that.
There's like a lawsuit and they stopped supporting it now. So
Damn.
But they moved on to Predator, so we'll see.
It's hard making and sustaining games, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Huber,
Yes.
you know what doesn't need sustained is your love of Shenmue, and you've been playing Shenmue too.
I have been for the first time in over probably a decade.
No,
solo.
we played it. Oh, solo.
I went through. I've gone
These
through.
are my Shenmue qualifications.
I went through Shenmue 1 a little while ago. When it came out, and now 2, just kind of on my own. Just
Yeah.
no stream. Just full undivided attention at my own pace. And
The way that you're talking about Shenmue 2, it's so heartwarming because it's like an old friend came back into your life.
yeah, it's amazing, man. Like it's so different than 1. It's so much bigger. It's just so different. It's so intense. You're alone in a new land.
When you say the fish out of water.
Yeah,
in Shenmue 2.
You are a fish out of water, and it's like there's nothing like it. Like you feel that. You feel like you're away from home. So many times I get lonely in Shenmue 2. You have your pictures that you can keep from Shenmue 1, and I find myself just like opening up those pictures and just staring at them, like thinking of home, you know? So, yeah. I don't
like
know.
the way that you've approached this because you've already played through Shenmue 1 and 2 before, but then this HD remaster came out and you played through 1 pretty immediately, and then you took a nice long break.
Yeah.
And I think that just the tone in your voice and the way that you're describing it, I think that made you appreciate Shenmue 2 even more upon this revisit. I'm glad you didn't do like back-to-back barreling through that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think this time really helped you. You're just kind of slowly
soaking
digesting
it in.
Yeah.
Totally.
Is this the first time you got to carry over data?
This is the first time I ever got to carry over my data because when 2 came out...
So what does that mean in Shenmue 2?
So you carry over your gacha toys, your photos, and I want to say money as well. Maybe not.
Do you carry over moves?
And moves as well, yeah. And moves. Cool. So that was really exciting too because the gacha toys really matter in 2. Like economy is, I joke about economies a lot, but it's extremely important in Shenmue 2. Like money really matters. Not
how
just
how do the gacha toys matter?
You can sell them to pawn shops.
Okay.
So which is kind of hurts me too. It's like I don't want to part with these. You know, I have their sentimental value. I'm not giving you my Eggman. I'm not giving you my Knuckles.
That like reminds me of selling video games when I was younger to be able to buy a new one.
Yep.
And you're just like, man, this sucks.
Yes, because it's like I really need money, but also Tails is cool, so I'm not giving this up. Yeah. So I sold my dupes. I didn't really sell any sets. Like I've got a bunch of Virtual Fighters. I didn't finish the Virtual Fighter set. I never found Super Sonic, so my Sonic collection was incomplete. But yeah.
Super Sonic, man.
I know.
You gotta get that Super Sonic.
I know. I got Knuckles. I like didn't when I was playing 1, I was like, I'm not stopping until I get Knuckles. Like hundreds of dollars later, I was like, dude, maybe it's time to stop. It's too much.
Do you think? Can you pick a favorite between 1 and 2?
Oh, it's 1. It's 1 for sure.
Why is that?
It's that small town home cozy feel. You know, your family is here, your friends are here. Like before when you start the game, you already have these relationships with these characters. They're already strong.
Yeah.
So by the time you get through the game, they're just even stronger. Fuka-san, Ine-san, just being able to chill at your own house. Like this is your home. Mm-hmm. 2 is it's cold. 2 is a cold game. But you're learning a lot in 2. There's a lot of life lessons. There's a lot of hard lessons. You know, don't be so naive, Rio. Like
growing up.
The 4 Woo-Do is a highlight.
4 Woo-Do.
The 4 Woo-Do hype.
Do you think Shenmue raised you?
I mean, it definitely. It is a game that looks at life. You know, there's a lot of philosophies. There's a lot of life lessons. It's nothing like it.
With these most recent revisits to Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, has it got you thinking, I guess, more specifically, like, oh man, I really hope they bring this back for Shenmue 3 or expand upon this or make this a little different? Have you been thinking along those lines?
Yes. Like with 3, I just really hope they draw you in. You know, Shenmue has such a good way of drawing you in. Like you were talking about Rocksteady's like attention to detail.
Yeah.
There's so, like 2 is so big. There are so many shops you'll never go in. But they're there. You can go in and talk to these people. You can examine things. You know?
How meaningful are those conversations though? Like if you go into a shop and you talk to somebody, you're like, oh man, like that was insightful or entertaining or something. Like, are you having that kind of quality of experience with where you're going?
Yes and no. Like sometimes you'll go in a shop and you'll just be like, hey, I'm looking for this. And they're like, oh, go talk to so-and-so. Some like generic stuff. But
right. I mean, and to be fair, it's an older game, but just an interesting question.
Yeah. And like a lot of the main quest line, obviously, like just the way it takes its time to set the mood. Yeah. You know, Shenmue sets the mood. You'll walk into a store and like different music will hit It'll do some really slow camera works. Like it asks you to be in the moment, and that's what I hope Shenmue 3 does.
Yeah. Shenmue 1, I haven't played Shenmue 2, but in Shenmue 1, you're absolutely right. Like just the insane amount of detail that is in like your house, for instance, where it's like, oh, I can open these drawers. I can look and pick up this thing specifically. I can trigger this scene by doing this very specific, like just like it's in open worlds. It feels like it's more about the amount that you see rather than how much you can see a single thing. And yeah, I agree. I think kind of carrying that philosophy over to Shenmue 3 would be really cool.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's going to chase after traditional open world trends, but I certainly hope it doesn't as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking about just the mood and the vibe, and I'm like, I just hope they capture this. They capture this feeling.
Just one quick thing. Shenmue 3 is deadly close. It's so close. How
When
do
is
you
it
feel,
coming
man?
out?
August 27th.
It's so close.
Yeah. Playable at E3.
You seem like you're kind of panicking.
A little bit. Because, like, we've seen... To me, we've seen, like, nothing. Like, really.
Right.
They had the
Gameplay.
quote-unquote gameplay trailer recently, but, like, it was... To me, it was more of just some conversations and cutscenes. You know, we haven't really had that uninterrupted walkthrough, you know, and we're 3 months out. It's pretty crazy. It's like we haven't seen it. We haven't
Do you
seen
think
just
it'll get delayed?
I really don't think so, but I still wouldn't be surprised, you know? So I don't know. The fact that it's playable at E3 is...
That's good news.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm pretty sure it is.
Shenmue grapevine.
Yeah.
I don't mean this question in an accusatory way. I mean it in a genuine way because Shenmue. It's amazing that like Shenmue 3 exists at all.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any way Shenmue 3 could disappoint you, or are you just kind of happy that you're getting more of it?
First and foremost, I'm happy that it exists.
Yeah.
And everything I've heard Yu Suzuki say about it, the design philosophy stuff, is all on point. Everything he said. The way it's like a circular gameplay loop of just everything you do kind of folds in on itself and matters. Talking about the mini games, the money, the learning skills, the jobs, investigation, talking to people. He's like, nothing is filler. Every single activity you do matters. So that's really encouraging.
Cool.
Yeah. And the fact that it exists, I think, you know, I think the worst case scenario would be like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That's like the worst case scenario. You know,
I think
it
you're
exists.
just excited for the story.
Yeah.
Just more
Continuation.
continuing a story.
My pipe dream, pie in the sky, is that they find a way to take us back home, you know? Because we're away from home now. We're on this journey, and visiting home kind of feels like the end game. Like you're not going home until it's all over, until Londi is done, everything's done. But maybe like a dream, like Rio falls asleep and imagines he gets homesick. And you know, you wake up and you're playing this section just at home, and Ine-san and Fuka-san are there. Like, give me that fan service. Give me that moment,
Dude, it's gonna end in the dojo at your house.
Yes.
With everything on fire in a showdown in that room.
Londi.
Yeah.
Back home.
And like Fuka-san like laying there.
No. Oh, I can't wait.
Rio.
Cannot wait.
I don't know if this is just like me or my own perspective on things, but it's been kind of exhausting because it feels like every day there's a new thing where like everybody's complaining about some aspect of a game. And I think that's valid. I want people to call out bullshit. But I also think it's important to have a little bit of the other side as well, like that it's not always complaining or being negative all the time, because just from my perspective and the things, there's a lot to be excited about. There's so much to be excited about.
It's too much.
Even just in this frame trap with this lineup of games, like this has been a slower month, I think, in a lot of ways for me, but it's still exciting. There's so much to look forward to. Even just state of play and seeing Final Fantasy VII, seeing Medieval, seeing new Persona stuff, seeing new Monster Hunter stuff, like, and you talking about how awesome Final Fantasy XIV is. Just there's brand new things that away game with the creatures that looks new and wild and fun. There's things we never thought would happen with Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's updates to games we already love, like Monster Hunter. Like there is a lot of good. I don't want people to blindly accept stuff, but I do think it's important to appreciate the good things when we have them.
Absolutely. 100%.
I think you're both very good at doing that, Bradley Ellis and Michael.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always something to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So much
like
stuff.
you're playing Arkham Knight. I'm going
Yeah.
back playing Shenmue
Like-
2. These are old
Yeah, I was
games.
looking at my Chrono Cross yesterday. I was just like,
And you're like, that's going to feel good when I
Yeah.
pop that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I was looking at, Ben? You inspired me.
What's that?
Final Fantasy IX.
whoa. Oh, yeah, he was talking about that before.
Final Fantasy IX is a real good
He's like,
time.
man, I gotta beat Final Fantasy
I gotta
9. I
beat
was like,
that.
yeah,
You
you
won't
do.
be able to
It's
start
really
over.
good. And it's
Disappointed.
been like never easier to hop into that game.
Yeah.
One big. Got to finish 9.
9 is
And
an
6.
emotional journey,
Got
man.
Got to finish
Question.
9 and 6.
I forgot if I asked you this. How does like so I remember when I played the PS4 version of 9,
Yeah.
the backgrounds didn't look great.
Yeah.
I remember. How does
Yeah.
it look on Switch?
So, yes. So I was recently playing Final Fantasy IX on Switch, and the backgrounds on when they're blown up, it was definitely very jarring for me at first. I'm like, oh, it's something you do get used to, but
course.
no, I don't think they look great. The character models themselves look great, and the benefit of the Switch is that when you're playing in handheld mode and everything's shrunk down,
Yeah, it looks better.
The backgrounds do look a lot better.
So do they
And
not look as good on PS4 as well? Same problem?
It looks like a little smudgy
I
from what I
only,
remember.
only briefly messed around
but I
with
did
it
not
on
play
PS4.
super long. Like I could totally see it you could get used to it, but it definitely was like, from what I remember on PS1
Yeah.
to playing on PS4. I mean, I played it on PS1 when it came out, which was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you could overcome that hump.
Yeah,
easily.
it seems like an Arkham situation where the Asylum and City remasters did some things worse, but they also did some things better, and like you kind of just get used to it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not a stickler
One
for
of my
that kind
favorite
of stuff.
Dark City of Treno, Huber. That's all you gotta know,
City
baby.
of Treno. I don't think
So
I got
good.
that far. I finished. Is it 4
Let me
discs?
just say,
I'm
card,
pretty sure-
card
I-
tournament.
I finished disc 2 and stopped.
Yeah,
Life happened.
It's good. It's good all the way till the end.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think it holds up.
Nice.
Very,
yeah, I
very
would love to play through it again. It's been a long time. Zorn and Thorn.
Try to find some time.
Yeah, it's pretty easy going too.
Yeah.
I would say for the most part. Like as long as you're generally
definitely-
paying attention to your levels and equipment
A
and
really
skills.
good sense of adventure, I remember.
Yes,
from
and
it.
just an incredible cast.
Great.
Steiner.
Just an incredible
I
cast.
love
yes.
Steiner, dude. Love Steiner.
Steiner.
Steiner by himself deserves to be in the Hall
Yeah,
of
he's
Grace.
so
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, and all the characters bring something different to the table, I would think. Some are stronger than others, for sure, but yeah, incredible game.
Yeah.
The last game that I want to talk about, speaking of like revisiting things, this is kind of a weird one. I revisited and have been playing Dragalia Lost. So if you're not familiar with what Dragalia Lost is, it's from Cygames. They teamed up with Nintendo to make their own mobile game, and it's an action RPG where you like take your finger or your thumb and you drag a character around and you tap to attack, or you hold to do a stronger attack. You have skills. You also have a dragon companion which you can transform into for a limited amount of time. Cygames also did Grand Blue Fantasy. But yeah, I played it and I had like a solid time with it. I was most impressed with the presentation. It's a really good looking game. The music is phenomenal. It's really fun. The UI is really fun. There's just everything kind of pops with it. I thought the story was kind of lame and the gameplay wasn't enough to keep me excited. But they did this Fire Emblem Heroes crossover, and I was like, well, I gotta
Always
pop
helps.
in for
Yeah,
that.
Having a sick crossover always helps.
just
Yeah.
having a sick crossover always helps. And Dragalia Lost is something that like I kind of popped into occasionally, but never for very long. But this Final Fantasy event, I was so impressed with how they handled it. It was really, really, really fun. They added a whole new mission type where you have to kind of defend this fortress, and it felt a little Muso-y, where you had these different lanes and you could close them off with drawbridges. And it wasn't like amazing, but that mission type, having a new way to play the game, really helped. You have these boss fights against characters from Fire Emblem Heroes that were really fun. I just got my might up high enough where I could do like their trials, which is like a much harder version of the boss fights that you do in kind of the main event. The story for it was kind of like you were talking about with the Final Fantasy XV event. Not very long to get through, but like cute and fun, and it was great interacting with those characters. You can get those characters, you can summon those characters. So you can get Alphonse, Veronica, Thorm, I think is her name, and Marth. You know, Marth.
Nice.
And very, very powerful, very fun to play as. I was just having a great time, and I ended up sticking with it and getting more invested and wanting to go farther than I ever have with the game. And that was really, really cool because they do so much right. So there's a ton of like currencies to keep track of. You have this castle that you can build up. But they make everything as smooth as possible. So when you're leveling up your characters, right, they have these things called mana circles, and you'll have different nodes on these mana circles to make them stronger in different ways. But you can just be like, oh, just do it for me, just fill it up until I run out of resources. And then when you run out of resources for something, it'll be like, hey, this is what you need to get this thing. And you're like, okay, how do I get it? And they're like, well, do these missions. And then you can go directly to that mission. And so even if you're confused, even if you don't know exactly where everything goes all the time, they try to cleave through all of that and be like, just go here, man. And so it makes it really easy to get invested in. And you just have this team might level where it's like, hey, you need to be at this might level to clear it. And they make it as smooth as possible. And the communication's been really good. They had an update where they're like, hey, here's what's coming. We want to make past events available to everybody. Here are new things that we're working on. Here's a new hero. And so, yeah, I am definitely kind of getting sick of games as a service. I'm kind of getting sick of keeping up with things. But, like, hats off to Dragalia Lost. I think they're doing it well enough. They're making it fun enough. They're doing a lot. And it's always good when you're like kind of getting invested in a game where it's like, there's a reason for me to keep checking in.
Yeah.
They even give you, so you have like daily quests, of course. And for some of those, like not the Fire Emblem event quests, but for the daily quests, you'll get skit tickets. And so if you're like, man, like it's another daily quest to do Avenue of Power. I don't really want to do that. I've been doing that over and over and over again. You can just get a skip ticket and you can just clear it. So as long as you have that ticket, you can get through the quest. And it's like, oh, that's a nice concession.
Yeah.
And you can play co-op, and it's so easy to do. It's so fast. And so if you're like, man, I'm kind of getting sick of doing this, or I don't want to play right now, but I do want to play easily with other people, you can jump right in. You can go into a quick room, and it takes like seconds, and you're doing the quest that you want to do. It's so easy to find people. It's very fast. It's very quick. You're doing the thing, and it's over. And then if you want to, so if you're farming something, for instance, you can just stick with that group. It'll be like, hey, do you want to hang with these people?
Nice.
And yeah, so many aspects of the game try to make things as fast and simple and fun as possible, and I really appreciate that.
That's good.
Like with any gacha game, you can summon things. And at first I was like, man, it really takes a lot to summon. But they give you so many avenues to earn currency that it really felt fair. I know some people are just immediately turned off by anything like this, but I really didn't feel pressured to spend money. I didn't feel like I needed to. The game gives you a lot and it feels fair. And so hats off to that. You do get dupes of things. So you'll get like dupes of adventurers. But when they give you...
Can you trade in a dupe?
Well, no. So that's the thing. It's like, oh, you already have this character. We'll give you this Eld Water. But you can use that Eld Water to promote like 4-star units to 5-star units.
Oh, that's
something. Yeah.
That's something, yeah.
Okay.
I still don't love the idea of dupes,
Yeah.
but not the worst thing in the world.
Right.
So,
Nice.
but yeah, Dragalia Lost, pretty cool.
Dupes. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brett-
the last mobile game I really got into was like a Marvel Strike Force or Marvel Heroes or Marvel
Yeah.
something, and it's just like they got me. You know, if one of the, like you love Fire Emblem and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, I love Marvel characters, so it's like the idea of getting like, oh man, you know, I really want to get Jessica Jones or I really want to get Daredevil or
Right.
you know, it's just that carrot is like
Yeah, so there's 8 chapters to the main story, and I just don't think like I don't enjoy the story that much. Like it's fine. It's very generic in a lot of cases. And so it's been kind of like hard getting the motivation to go through it because like you can skip the dialogue and they'll give you a summary. And I think that's totally okay if you want to do that, but I always feel guilty where it's like, okay, well, if I am going to devote the time, I probably should pay attention, but I also don't really want to. And kind of fighting those two things has been a little tricky. But what's nice about Dragalia Lost is, so like Fire Emblem Heroes, they're bringing a bunch of characters from all the different games, and part of the fun is seeing those characters. But what's nice about Dragalia Lost is it's like these are brand new characters in a brand new world. You don't need to have that history. You don't need to feel intimidated. You can just jump right in. And like, yeah, they're having a Fire Emblem special event, but that's just a special event. Yeah. So you can get in on the ground floor, understand everything, get to know these characters, go through it. The game is still like pretty young too, and so if you want to jump in, like, I really do feel like it's free in the truest sense of the word.
Nice.
Like, yeah, if you get excited about characters, like, eventually they're going to get you. But I think it's very low stakes, very low pressure. Brad, I actually think it's something that you might enjoy. So if you, like, get a minute, it's nice having that thing where, like, you're waiting online, so it's in line or something, or you have a minute. It's something you can easily play in a quick batch. But, yeah, I liked it. It's nice warming up on a game, because I felt pretty lukewarm when I first talked about Dragalia Lost on Frame Trap, and I feel a lot better about it now.
Nice.
Which is really, really cool. And as easy as it is to rag on games as a service, I do think that that's something that I like, where I'm coming to you now, like, all this time later and being like, oh, man, I feel a lot better about games as about Dragalia Lost, and that's because it's had this life.
Yeah.
It's gotten to improve. It's gotten to be better. It's gotten to make me more excited and include different things, and I think that's really cool.
That's how I feel about Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because you've been keeping up with the DLC.
It's just non-stop
story.
Non-stop with this game.
Yeah.
So I've got like over 100 hours now in this thing.
But it seems like you're more affectionate now. Like, you started hot on AC Odyssey, but you're way hotter now after all of this stuff.
So much good stuff.
Is that just because, like, it's fun to play, the story's been expanded in a meaningful way, or all the above?
Really, a lot of big story stuff. All of it matters. Like, they made the weird decision to have the baby or whatever. That's kind of still weird to me. Like, I know why they did it, bloodlines and stuff. But, like, overall, a lot of the story stuff is really awesome. Now they're not only leaning into, like, crazy mythological craziness, you know?
I like when they do that more.
But also on, like, the overarching lore of the entire franchise, some of the stuff that's been, like, curbed for so long or kind of just in the very, very background of it is really coming to the forefront. And it's just really cool to, like, every couple months, check back in with Odyssey. And it's like, every time I come back, I'm just like, oh, it feels good.
That game has a lot of check back in.
Check back in. A lot of that. A lot of free stuff.
Everything has a lot of check back in,
like
man.
Dailies in it.
But there's
weeklies.
But all that stuff I don't engage with.
Yeah.
Like, the check back in with your daily quests, like Fortnite and Mortal Kombat 11, is tedious. And you don't want your dailies to clog up, and it's like, oh, well, I gotta log in to get my daily, and that it really matters because the reward for your dailies is so important. You need your coins or your battle stars, and it's whereas this is like, hey, we released a free quest. There's no BS attached. There's no strings attached. It's like, hey, do you want to hop back into Odyssey and play a self-contained 2-hour 90-minute quest line that has a beginning, a middle, and an end? Yes. Awesome. So that's when I think that's like the balance I like with games as a service.
So the story's good for these?
I feel like that's something that Ubisoft has been consistently praised for, is they actually are updating their games and they're getting behind the games and supporting them. They're making them better over the time. They're building up these communities. That's pretty cool.
Totally.
Are they better than, like, the main story?
Yes and no. It's clearly like they've been working on this for so long now. They've got it down. Like, some of a couple of the free ones are better than anything I did in the main game.
Cool.
A couple of them are awesome. And they expect you to, like, be far in the game. So it's like, hey, go kill 3 people that are wearing this out of like 30 people. It's like,
So Huber, I booted up AC Odyssey, and it was hard because I was like, oh man, what the hell was I even doing in this game? I hate that feeling. I hate it so much.
I know.
And it was like, hey, go find this person. I was like, where the hell is this person? And your enthusiasm for AC Odyssey and just how much I was enjoying it, like, I do want to get back to it. It's definitely like, put a pin in that. However, got distracted by Arkham Knight, which was a good distraction.
Very, very good.
And now I'm distracted by Days Gone.
Very, very good.
Like,
Assassin's Creed's long, too, so if you're going to play it, you got to, like, really dedicate yourself.
It is a brick.
It's huge.
It is
not quite there yet, but
big.
Just know I keep thinking it's there. It's in the back of the mind.
It'll always be there.
Yeah, like, it's a commitment. And I'm just... For me, I'm coming from the point of like I'm so invested in this franchise. I've finished all the mainline games. Like I am so all in on Assassin's Creed that it's easier for me to like be attached to the stuff and to hop back in. But like it's a lot. It's a lot.
Pretty much every mainline one, but I'm definitely like not as into the story as you, which is like, I mean, that's cool that you're into it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fun though still.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Stealth kills.
it's a goofy.
Warp Strike.
Warp Strike, yeah. It's
Real
really
good.
I
Warp
really
Strike.
need to. I haven't even seen this Warp Strike in 14. I need to see it, Brad.
It's cool.
Yeah. You know what else is cool? As we're getting to the summer months, the only thing that can match the heat of the outside is the heat of this HOTTAKE! It is very hot in here. I think that's why I brought up heat, Brad, is because it's like really hot in this room. And I shouldn't be wearing this.
You're all layered
hoodie.
up.
Yeah, I'm all
Fools.
layered up, man.
Fuzroda.
Brad, I knew that there was only one thing that we could talk about with this HOTTAKE.
Yes.
We've already mentioned it several times on this podcast.
Did they say?
But who cares?
Did they say how many Skyrims the Iceborne map is?
No, they just said it's bigger than any area in world once you unlock everything.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Bad joke.
But yeah, we're going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I want to open this conversation
Whoa.
by...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like it's something that we all have opinions on.
Sure.
Which is always good for the HOTTAKE. But Huber,
Yeah.
when we were reacting to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you brought up something. You're like, hey, are they going to make it like episodes still, or is it going to be one game? Like, what's the deal? Hasn't been a lot of communication.
Yeah.
This is my source here is RPG site.
Okay.
A lot of places report on this though, but directly from the official Square Enix Japan website, we are progressing on Final Fantasy VII Remake's production as partition titles.
Yes.
It will still be split up.
Okay.
We don't know how many.
We don't know how many,
Okay.
but we know that it's still going to be split up. How do you feel about that?
I feel good. And
Why
I
do you feel good?
3 words. Life is strange.
Okay.
All right.
Those are episodic games
Yeah.
that taught me to appreciate episodic games. When I finish an episode of Life is Strange, it consumes me. And I keep it here. I keep it in my heart. I keep it on my mind for months. And I just let it live in me, man. I just love that feeling of like you finish this episode and then you still have something to be excited for in the future. Like it's coming, but you can also take the time to appreciate and feel everything about it and feel that moment. And that moment lasts longer. And we live in a time right now where there's so much that we're just trying to consume and beat this, move on to the next, beat this, move on to the next. And now that it's episodic, it's like we are guaranteed now to let Final Fantasy VII breathe, to let it last. Because even like Kingdom Hearts 3, Brad, Kingdom Hearts 3 to me came and went. And this is a game we were waiting for.
You'll be back for that DLC.
Definitely. But it's something we were waiting for a long time, and it was over kind of in the blink of an eye.
So I'm with you, man, except for one very key difference.
Yes.
And this is making an assumption. I can't say for certain that this is going to be true, but going on the assumption is I know what happens in Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
I know the storyline. I don't know the storyline of Life is Strange because it's being played out episode to episode.
Sure.
But it's a lot weirder when you're like, well, yeah, I know what they're building up to.
Yeah, we're going from a piece of work that was one thing, and they're dividing it up into how many parts.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that
Fair point.
that is definitely something you have to consider.
Right.
Definitely. Fair point.
I want to keep talking about the episode thing. And like before I say anything else, I am immensely excited. I actually think it could be really cool.
Yeah.
That they're taking the gameplay in a new direction. I'm excited to take this. I am very open to it. I am more excited than anything. But just for the sake of conversation, one thing that popped into my head that I'm very worried about is, to me, like if you don't have an awesome world map in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's gonna feel weird.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of moments that are reliant on that world map in Final Fantasy VII. And so with a project like this, for as big it as it is, and then splitting it up, to not have that that world map and that exploration. I'm not saying that they can't do it and have it work, but it is a concern that I have.
Yeah.
Do you think that concern is valid?
Yeah, of course I do.
Brad,
Of course, yeah. There's plenty of things to be concerned about with this game. We've barely seen anything of it.
yeah, absolutely. And that's another good point to bring up, is this is just speculation because we're excited.
Like,
and there's a lot
everything
to
we've
see.
seen is like the first 3, 4, or 5 hours of this game.
Right.
Pretty much.
I guess kind of along those lines, Brad, based on what we've seen, is there anything that worried you?
That I've seen?
Yes.
No.
Is there anything that you haven't seen that has worried you?
I'm like the world map I think is an interesting idea. Like where will this episode end? Kind of thing like that.
Right.
How will it end? What new will they introduce? Will everything work that they introduce? I'm more excited just to see the world realized in like a new way that I've never seen before. Like you, I'm totally cool with them doing whatever. Like with the combat system, I'm way cool with that. But I think there is room for concern for especially like a game that's so beloved to be like concerned about when we don't know a lot about it still.
Yeah. Big question. If they were to change aspects of the story, would you be okay with that?
I mean, it depends what they change.
Just modify the story in some
I'm
way.
fine with it. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, if they add stuff or change things here or there, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't really bother me because there is the original still. Like, that'll always be there for me if I really need it. But like, this game is a remake. I think if you're gonna do a remake, you might as well just do some different stuff.
Yes.
I'm of the exact same opinion. And so like even bringing up the world map stuff, it's like I want it, but I'm open to it being
Like,
wildly different.
I don't think it'll be like a world map of what everyone thinks it will be. I'm sure there'll be huge open areas to explore and stuff, but I don't know if it'll just be humongous open world map. Like, I think you'll get more opportunities to explore areas like Midgar as opposed to like what it was in the original. Because Midgar is very kind of like limiting, I guess, in the original game. It's very like go here, go here, go here, go here. Few moments where you can kind of go back, but I'm hoping they like give more.
Huge city.
You can explore that kind of stuff more.
Definitely.
And what makes me at ease though is they're saying each episode is going to be as much as like a full game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Thinking about how they split it up, I would actually be okay if it was split up a bunch, but within each of those parts of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, obviously it's going to be as much as a full game as what you've said, and that's what they're chasing after. But if they went really, really hard, and so it's like, okay, well, this is just the Midgar section of the game, but like you were saying, you could explore, and it could be so much more in depth than it was before. Yeah. And another area where I think of that is like, think about what they could do with full Gold Saucer, and how much crazier that could be.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're just blowing any area out so much more would be awesome.
Right. It's just the storytelling that I'm worried about, like where they choose to leave off, how they present it.
I mean, I'm thinking of.
I mean, there's some like
spot.
There's some moments
exactly
you could think of where like, yes, they could end right here.
Yeah. That. Clearly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really excited for the newer scenes they've added. Like just that brief glimpse of Cloud and Sephiroth, like talking somewhat. Like, I'm excited for stuff like that. Like, I'm way down for more context, more of like why this is important, stuff like that. More of Cloud's history. I'd love for them to show more of like Zack's background and everything like that. Like Zack's role in the game is like important in the original one, but you don't see that much of that cutscene like with Cloud and Zack interacting with each other.
What if they
did Crisis Core, of course.
What if they just incorporate all the Crisis Core stuff in?
Crisis Core has a lot of stuff and a lot of characters. Yeah. But it'd be, I mean, I'd be down if there's elements. I'm cool if they add elements from Crisis Core into it.
Yeah.
The tone of Final Fantasy VII changes so much throughout the course of the game.
Yes.
Like the beginning of that game with Midgar and your mission and the way everything goes is very different from the middle of the game, which is very different from the end of the game. And I think, and just kind of what your main points of conflict are change over time.
Yeah, I mean, as like a character Cloud changes dramatically throughout the game.
Right, and obviously that's natural, but I think that kind of dramatic change works a lot better in a single game. And so I guess that's what I'm worried about is how different Final Fantasy VII gets over time. Like, I want the the third episode to have like just as much going on, be just as fun, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's just. I don't know. I'm worried about the tonal whiplash.
Absolutely.
I suppose.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's a valid concern. I'm hoping it's 2 parts. I don't know if I want like 3. Like, it could work. I would ideally want 2, though, if they do it. Because I don't think some people are like, oh, every part should be a disc. And it's like, well, disc 3 is pretty short
Right.
at the end of 7.
I could see 3 parts.
Yeah.
Me too.
Of course. I mean, they could totally do it. I just want every part to feel like satisfactory.
Right. And it's just the other thing is when there are a lot of people obviously that are going to be coming into Final Fantasy VII for the first time, but it takes you a while to get some of those party members.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm on one level I'm a little bit worried because it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see this person, and it's like, well, am I going to see them in 2030?
Yeah, they've like shown. I've seen like a cast list of like characters and voice actors, and I've seen some of the characters on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I kind of have an idea of where it's going to go. I don't
Sure.
know for sure though, but I get an idea.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're worried about or excited about regarding the gameplay?
The gameplay. I'm really into the. I really like the gameplay. I'm cool with like. I love turn-based. Don't
Right.
get me wrong, but I'm cool with them trying something different, like it just being really flashy.
Yeah.
I like the idea of you being able to switch characters. It looks like on the fly from what I've seen, how
Right.
that's getting implemented. I mean, it's so hard for me to, because I don't know. We don't know a ton about it. Like, I would need to see more to be like, I'm really worried about this certain aspect. Like, as it is now, it all seems really cool and like fun and flashy, which I really like. But I don't know the nitty gritty, like how the materia system might be handled.
Right.
I hope it's as in depth as it was in the previous game.
I want the boss fights, like I want to feel the swords clashing, you know? Because like 15 boss fights were fine,
Yeah.
but forgettable, you know? And I really want these boss
Yeah.
fights to feel more than I'm just like mashing my attack and
So
doing my
that's-
super moves, and you know, like I want it to be a little more interesting than that.
I hope the emotion from the original of like encounters translates over to this very well. Because a lot of those encounters have like build up and like thought behind them, and emotion like building up to that part. So I hope that translates well.
So I am way down. I'm totally okay with them changing it from turn-based to this action system. However, Final Fantasy VII being such an important RPG in my life and in a lot of people's lives, you just think of certain moments in a specific way. And because Final Fantasy VII is this ATB system, and there are a lot of boss fights where it was like, oh, I needed, like, that materia really helped me. Or
Yeah.
the way I built this character really helped me. The party that I came in here really helped me. And it was a lot about, you know, that classic JRPG, the way that I prepared, the way that I leveled
Yeah.
up, what I brought into battle. And not that you can't do that in an action RPG. You definitely can, but it can feel very, very different. And so I don't want every boss fight to be like, oh man, like
Just
I
bring it
didn't,
down.
yeah, it didn't matter what build I brought in.
Or
It's
strategy or something like that. Yeah.
like it's cool if it's more about dodging or timing attacks, but I also want that classic, like, okay, I prepared for this.
Like having a
I-
certain material will help.
Right.
in this
I
encounter,
built
yeah.
my party in
Yeah,
a way.
I hope so, too.
I want that sense to be there to a substantial degree.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
More in June.
I think
June. That's right.
another thing to bring up, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it, is I was showing my girlfriend the Final Fantasy VII stuff, and she has no context for Final Fantasy VII at all. And then I was like, this is what Final Fantasy VII used to look like. And she was like, no, you're lying to me. Like, this is not, it didn't really look like this. I'm like, yeah, it's an old game. And obviously that's going to happen. But I think when you have the kind of blocky, older character designs of this PS1, early PS1 Final Fantasy VII, you get attached to them and they look a certain way. And obviously when you make them brand new, they're going to look way different. I actually think they've done a phenomenal job so far. What I remarked on is I was like, man, these guys look the way you have them in your mind. They brought them up to modern standards without ruining what makes them classic. But in the back of my mind, like especially some of the Shinra people, I hope that they look right.
I mean,
it's a
they
hard
will.
thing to nail.
Like Brad said it, and I just lived it with Resident Evil 2. You know, like
You're right.
I'm
good point to bring up.
It's my favorite game of all time, the stakes couldn't be higher. This is how Brad feels about Final Fantasy VII, but like that's always going to be there, the original, you know? And it is scary that they're doing it so differently, like action instead of turn-based
rapid
is
departure.
a huge fundamental change. Just like, you know, over the shoulder versus fixed cameras is a huge change. But now that it's over, they both exist and they both do things differently, and that's the best.
I'm always there with that argument, like, hey, the original already exists, no big deal. I feel the same way about Persona 5 Royal. It's like, well, if I don't like the changes, at least I still have vanilla Persona 5. But man, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and this probably isn't your perspective, Huber, but like for me, everything was nailed. Like
Perfect.
The
Perfection.
The fact that it wasn't fixed camera, the way that they did it in the remake was perfect. The way Leon looked was perfect. The way Claire looked was perfect to me. William Birkin, Mr. X, all this stuff was so on point. Ada looked phenomenal.
And that's the vibe I'm getting from Remake.
You're right.
Just
You're totally right.
The vibes are right.
We have a very recent example of a super important game being knocked out of the park.
Yeah.
Obviously different companies, completely different genres.
Different scale.
But nonetheless, it fills me with hope.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as the character design's been, I mean, Nomura is on this, and he did all the original designs.
Right.
So I think he's gonna like try, like from what we've seen of Cloud and Barrett and Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, they all look great.
Right.
Like everyone looks great right now.
Yeah.
And
So hopefully that consistency does carry over.
I don't love the plot of this movie, but as far as the updating of the designs, like Advent Children was amazing.
Yeah.
And so they've already been able to update these characters
Yeah.
successfully. Yeah, I agree. I think you're right.
Cloud looks awesome.
Cloud
Yeah.
looks
He looks
perfect.
awesome.
He looks awesome.
I think he looks really good for his age in the game.
Yes.
Where he's 21 in the game, and I think they really nailed the way he looks.
Right.
A lot more, he has that more kind of goofy side, I would say, that he had in the original 7. Like, Avon is much more serious from what he's going through.
Punished Cloud.
Very punished, Clyde. Very punished. Like, the most punished.
Will, because Nomura's directing this sucker, right?
Yeah. I believe he's the director.
We talked about Crisis Core being in this thing. Do you think they're just going to throw Advent Children in as an entire episode?
I don't know.
We're going
Advent
3
Children,
episodes? Like,
I mean, they could.
Do you think that's just going to be part of
Avon
this?
Children takes years, like,
Yeah,
takes
Advent
place
Children
years
takes
after.
place after the fact, and so I don't
Yeah.
really understand the need to incorporate it within
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
If
VII.
anything, I
Got
think you'd see Crisis Core stuff more likely in it.
Right.
What about...
Dirge of Cerberus?
Yes.
That's after Avon Children.
think we'll get some
I don't
Dirge?
think you might get some more additional Vincent backstory with like Lucrezia
Dirge of
or
Cerberus.
something like that, but I don't know about necessarily Dirge of Cerberus levels.
Just throwing out all
Yeah,
the
just
possibilities
throwing it
on
all
the
out
table
there.
here. Yeah. Letting it all out.
I have a complicated relationship with Dirge of Cerberus. Anyway,
Hoping for a little more Turks. So I love the Turks.
yes,
I love
Brad,
the Turks.
absolutely,
Yes.
more Turks. Yeah,
And-
they need more fleshing out
And the Orochimaru character.
within the core game.
What's his name?
Orochimaru. Oh,
You've said that so many times, like
Hojo?
it could be anybody.
Hojo.
Hojo, dude.
Hojo.
Hojo hype. Let's go. Such a creep.
Orochimaru.
yeah. Hojo is a creep. I mean, he is an Orochimaru character,
He is,
100%.
he is. I say it all the time, but at least it fits.
Yeah. Science.
They put Orochimaru into Final Fantasy VII. I want to talk to you guys about spoilers really
Okay.
quick because Final Fantasy VII is a thing where it's kind of like the Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, where it's like you know what happens even if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I've felt that way for a long time, but a lot of people in chat when we were doing the reactions were like, "This is going to be the first time that I play Final Fantasy VII." There's a lot of that I don't know, and so I'm like, "Oh, I kind of want to protect that experience
Definitely.
for you," but at the same time, a lot of my perspective and analysis will be like, "What are they changing? What's
Yes.
different to this super old game?" And so it's hard finding a balance there, wanting to be respectful but still wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Where do you fall on this?
I mean, I will try to curb or maybe just not talk about like the more important plot points.
Definitely.
I'm cool with like talking about like little moments here and there, but nothing that's like, whoa, huge story revelations or something like that.
Like I think the fact that there's an Orochimaru character is not
really
a spoiler.
Like that gold saucer.
No.
That gold saucer exists in this game or something like that.
That is a spoiler, or not a spoiler?
No, that's not a spoiler to me. But I'm not gonna like go into like maybe like really intense plot details.
Yeah.
Or like character arcs or stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to.
I will
to
do
not
my
give
best
any
to
of that.
like talk about this game the best I can. But there is a ton of people out there that are playing this for the first time.
Yeah.
So I would like for them to experience it the best they can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like when we last talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake, this came up. Maybe it didn't, but this is something that Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that means so much to so many people, and even if you haven't played it, you kind of understand its importance, I think, in a lot of ways. And when you have something like that, it seems like an unwinnable situation.
Yeah.
They don't change enough. People complain. They change too much. People complain. They don't do this character exactly this. Like, it belongs to so many people that there's going to be backlash no matter what.
Oh, 100%.
How do you feel about that, I guess, in a general sense, when you have something like this?
I mean, they've already done crazy stuff with 7 to me already.
Sure.
Like, Dirge of Cerberus is insane. Advent Children is, like, crazy. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, they've done stuff with this universe already to me. But I always have the original. It'll always be there. It will not be replaced. It's always going to have a highlight for me. And I'm just kind of cool with, like, the developers on this game. A lot of, like, the same people who worked on the original are working on this game.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of cool with them just, like, letting them make the game they want to make.
Yep.
Brad, I think that was a perfect response.
Yeah. I think of Avengers Endgame, where it's like the MCU journey has been one of my favorite things in my life growing up now. It's like such a huge part of my life.
Right.
I didn't allow anyone to influence my thoughts about Endgame. I didn't read reactions or theories or what's to come. And I purposefully blocked it out because I just wanted to keep that one really kind of for myself, you know?
Yeah.
I just kind of avoided like just a few kind of sacred things where it's like, if everyone loves it, if everyone hates it, if it's kind of in the middle, like I don't care. It's going to be me,
Right.
my wife.
Yeah.
My wife.
That's it. You know, I don't want the hot takes for Endgame. I don't want to talk about time travel inconsistencies or infinity stones. It's just like, nope.
I hear you.
I'm
And you have
going
to
to
do
protect
that.
this.
You have to keep some things just for you, or at least
Yeah.
mostly for you. And I get that. But there's also times where you put your faith in something because it's earned it.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, all right, I'm there to the end. And the deal that you hope that you're making is like, this thing is going to hold up its end of the bargain. And like Game of Thrones means a lot to me. I don't talk about it a lot on camera very much. I do here and there, I have. But like, it's been hard because I love Game of Thrones so much, and that last episode like broke me, and we only have 2 episodes to go, and maybe the whole ship turns around. But the reason why I'm bringing up Game of Thrones is I think Final Fantasy VII can kind of be the same way, where like even if you're open to it being completely new, even if you're excited through the roof, even if you know you'll enjoy it on some level, like Endgame to me, I don't know about anybody else, and I don't really care. Endgame nailed it for me.
Yeah.
I felt emotionally paid off, and
Yes.
that's really all I'm asking for.
I wanted to savor that.
Yes. With Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think that's the thing that I need the most. Like, even when I replayed it with you guys at Game Trailers, going through it again, with chat, being on the internet, all this stuff, I still felt excited playing it. There were still moments that, like, made my heart sing. That's really all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about how much you change or the way that you change it, as long as at the end, those scenes that are, like, ancient in my mind now still get me excited, still feel like, oh, that's why I love these characters. Like, that's the number one thing that I care about. Whatever hot takes the internet has, that's fine. As long as it makes me feel that way, we're all good.
Hell yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, like anytime I saw a hot take, I avoided it. I was like, I don't want, Like, I don't want the love and maybe even the blinders to be taken off my face. I want to be blinded by the love, by the hype of this thing ending, you know? Like, criticism's all well and good, but some things, like Shenmue 3, for example, like these things that have been part of our lives for decades, I don't want to hear the criticism.
Right. But you also want it to follow through. You want it to be good.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to be let down.
Right. You don't personally want to be let down. And I guess maybe to wrap this all up, and Brad, I think you feel the same way. Like, so far, that's exactly what Final Fantasy VII Remake is doing.
So far, I've been very pleased with what I've seen.
Yeah, I have too. It looks like they care.
Yeah.
And that's really
like the
one
fact
of the
that they
ultimate things.
scrapped it, like that rumor, and like we're redoing it, like that. I think that means they're taking it very seriously.
Yeah, think about how that trailer, like all the little details we were able to pull out, the way the attacks looked, the way the characters looked, just the environment, like everything. It was like, oh, like you understand how much this means to people. At least that's what you're communicating to me.
Yeah.
And like coming after 15, they have experience with this kind of combat system now. I imagine the combat just surpassing 15.
And I don't think they have to deal with a lot of the tech problems 15 went through too.
And just like building off that foundation, like 15's combat's cool, but wow, you can make it even better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be exactly like 15's.
For sure.
But I think it'll be like, from what I've seen, I mean, it's hard. We still don't know a lot about it. Gives me like vibes of Kingdom Hearts and 15 kind of mixed.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Even like seeing the characters like walk in combat reminds me of like Final Fantasy XII almost a little.
Yeah.
Who knows about Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Does Square even know?
But we do know about these emails.
Oh.
Yeah.
I always love the email section.
Me too.
Nice little cool off. Hear from you guys. Our first email comes in from Paul,
What's up, Paul?
who says, stuck in a loot trap?
Oh.
Hey, allies. I write you today, prepared to turn in my gamer card. I love loot boxes. In fact, my favorite games, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, and especially Madden Ultimate Team and FIFA Ultimate Team, are my most treasured gaming experiences. A combination of tactical strategy with a collective all element is delightful, challenging, and perhaps addictive. Alas, my quandary. You can't ban loot boxes without banning digital collectible card games as we know them too, and likely take down a bunch of indie mobile developers in the process. Are gamers really willing to throw the trading card game baby out with the bathwater? Are loot boxes so dangerous that they must be eliminated? How did this work out for video game violence? Why now, after decades of seeing those in power consistently get gaming wrong, do we now turn to them for answers? Thus, my question, allies, in your heart of hearts, where do you think the loot box debate ends? A complete banning, like online poker, nothing happening at all, or some weird compromise that leaves everyone sort of annoyed? Apologies for the long question, but Frame Trap is nothing if not a show that appreciates depth, context, and elaboration.
Great question. Tough question.
I think it'll end up in some weird spot where no one's happy. That's just the kind of vibe I'm getting about loot boxes and like whatever's going to happen with them.
And I feel like developers have realized that we don't like them.
Yeah.
So newer games, I feel like, are not using them. I
feels like
I think of Mortal Kombat 11.
I actually don't think this question is as complicated as it seems. Because I think for the most part, in mass, people have been pretty good about calling out the most egregious stuff. Like, yes, there's always going to be people complaining about everything in some context in some way. Like, if your goal is, I don't want anybody complaining about this, then that's not a good goal. But when I think about the things that people have made the most noise about, Mortal Kombat 11 is a good recent example. Anthem is a good recent example. Fallout 76 is a good recent example. What else? Battlefront 2 is a good example. Where I think people have shown that they're willing to support free-to-play games with microtransactions as long as they don't insult your intelligence, time, or feel like they're compromising the game in a fundamental way.
Yeah.
Like, people, it's okay that you get excited when you're cracking packs. We all get excited when we're cracking packs. There's no shame in admitting that. But we also want to analyze in specific context how these things are happening. To me, Mortal Kombat 11 just convoluted itself so much that it lost the fun. Like it put too many layers, too many barriers in front of the place that like I didn't get excited about chasing after things anymore.
It's so annoying because it's like I want one skin and it's like I'm never going to get this thing because it's random every time.
Right.
And at least in Overwatch you're getting coins, you know, at least I can save eventually save up for the one thing I want. And you know, Overwatch kind of got a lot of criticism because it was like at the forefront of loot boxes, but looking back, like it's fine. Like I have no problem whatsoever with Overwatch loot boxes because it's all cosmetic, whatever.
I think it doesn't hurt as much when it's free to play game.
Absolutely.
Like when it's a $60 game,
Yes.
like you're already paying full price for it, and then there's that on top of it, especially how it's handled in the game. About like you got to pay to get this item. Who knows if you'll get it kind of thing.
Battlefront.
As opposed to Hearthstone, which is like you're buying cards. You're playing a trading card game, and it's free to play, I guess, if you want. And you could kind of earn cards. I'm not experienced, but I feel like I'm always way more cool with it if it's a free-to-play game right off the bat, because that's how it survives, as opposed to me buying Battlefront 2 and just getting destroyed because I didn't buy stuff and I'm getting out-geared. I'm like getting killed because I didn't pay money.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I people have been a lot harsher on $60 games that monetize that way, and I think rightfully so.
Yes.
People are absolutely right to do that. And the thing
Was
is,
Overwatch $60? I always forget.
On console, it was.
Okay, and then on PC,
It was 40.
40.
I think you can also enjoy something immensely and be proud of that enjoyment while still recognizing the flaws.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like you don't like when you're saying like, hey man, I'm prepared to turn my gamer card because I love these things. It's like no. Like you can be part of the conversation, and we need to be better, I think, about recognizing that even something that is really bad maybe has some good things to it, and trying to extract those good things and get rid of the bad things, and just constantly iterate and improve and find a way to make it better. I think another thing that is also exhausting people with this loot box conversation is it does kind of suck that when like it feels everything is moving that direction.
Yeah.
Especially when you have, I think what's also hard for people is you have these series that they've loved for years, forever, and they've seen it work without this stuff. And then when you put it in, it can be a hard pill to swallow, especially when you don't immediately see like, oh, this makes the game better.
Yeah.
If it's not actively and immediately making the game better, it feels like they're forcing it in, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so dumb, I know, but like I just want to be OG Liu Kang.
You're right.
It's all I want, dude.
Yes.
All I want to do is have my red bandana, my red and black pants,
Yeah, you can do that.
and do some flying kicks.
Right.
And it's the hopeless feeling of like, I'm never getting that because I'm out of coins and it could be in any one of these million loot boxes.
Huber, when you play through the story, I don't remember what you get specifically through Liu Kang, but there's actually kind of a weird thing. When you play through the story, you get stuff. You actually have to go into your combat card and go a tab over and manually like click and redeem all the stuff that you earned for the story. Have you done that yet?
No.
It's very easy to miss.
Okay.
I don't blame you. But
Okay.
yeah, that's something you can do.
Okay, well, I really wanted it.
Yes.
And it felt hopeless because I wasn't getting at least like some gold currency. And it was like, and
be
that
able to
feeling.
Too many layers.
So that feeling made me so bummed out. I was just so bummed by it because I don't have an attachment to zombie Liu Kang. I don't like it. I just don't want to be some zombie Liu Kang.
Right.
I uninstalled.
Done.
Finished the game.
Done.
Booted.
Finished the game. Did some towers. I even did like Liu Kang's tower, and it, like you don't his character tower. You don't get the cool skin. I think I got like a similar one, but it wasn't the red.
Not the one you wanted.
Yeah, and I uninstalled it. And it sounds like maybe petty or silly, but like that nostalgic feeling is like part of what I love about Mortal Kombat 11. Like just playing it with my brother. Like my brother got me into Liu Kang. I used to be a Sub-Zero Scorpion guy, but my brother doing bicycle kicks all the time was like the sickest shit ever. So just over time, I got so into that character and just wanted that feeling again.
I don't think it's necessarily a silly thing at all. When I think about how much people spend on cosmetics in video games, when I think of like League of Legends and how much money people are willing to spend for a skin on them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm opening up these loot boxes in MK11 giving me Shao Kahn skins. I don't even have the character.
Yeah.
I don't even have this guy.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
That should not happen.
Like, what?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, I do think it's also important to maybe take a step back and realize that we are in the growing pains with this. I think a lot of people are still trying to figure it out. I do think you should call people out on their bullshit 100%. But yeah, I mean, like we just talked about with several of these games, we talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we talked about Dragalia Lost, where there are, we talked about Final Fantasy XIV, where games moving in this direction, they have done some cool things. I love that I can keep coming back and they expand it in great ways. I love that they can do these crazy crossover events with other things that I already care about. And so I don't think it's very productive to be like, okay, games as a service is always bad in all cases. Loot boxes are a little bit more difficult for me because they just have such a stigma around them, and even in the best of times with loot boxes, I still feel like they can be wrong. Like with loot boxes, when I like them because of like I enjoy that rush of getting a rare thing.
Yeah.
And I always hate that feeling when you impulsively spend money.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh man, I got to get that skin. Like is that a good feeling? Is that something we want to promote?
To me, it's never. It stopped being good when I started playing Fortnite because of the Battle Pass.
Yeah.
I really like Battle Passes. It's basically like an admission ticket. That's how I kind of see it.
Right.
You pay $10, you're in for the season. It's 2.5 months. You set your eyes on something and you have a goal. It's
Right.
like, okay, level 40 something. The counterpoint is you got to put in the time to
Yes.
get it. But at least then I'm just playing your game and enjoying your game, and I know that will be paid off if I eventually
There's
get
a light
to...
at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
You know you could get there if you put in the time.
Exactly. And before you even spend that $10, you can look at what the Battle Pass has to offer. You can see single thing along the road. And it's like, well, I don't play Fortnite nearly as much as I have. There's no way I'm getting to level 100 anymore. That's just not happening. So are the first, 40 levels worth it? Like, what are the rewards here? Oh, that's really cool at level 25. Oh, level 30, that's cool. Sure, $10. Now I can play for the season and get that reward. There is a goal.
But that's what I'm so happy you brought that up, because you're just trying to think of a better way of doing this type of reward. And he's talking about hey, you like trading card games, right? Do you really not want those to exist? And even when I think about trading card games, like with Hearthstone, with Magic, it's like I've seriously spent, both with digital card games and physical card games, so much money. I got excited about a set. I would spend all this money. I would get excited, and I'd be powerful for
a day,
a little bit of time, right? A couple
weeks.
months, yeah. But then, now, it's getting harder and harder for me to be like, okay, do I want to spend money to get in on this new set? Do I want to on some level it's exciting. When you open a rare card, it's exciting, it's cool, it's fun. But I think for everybody, you can't be on that wheel forever. Eventually you're going to burn out. There's probably a better way of doing this, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. Is randomized stuff in a pack or a box the best way we can create that feeling? Probably not.
No, I think of Hearthstone and I think of just the gradual decline in my love for it, because eventually it got to a point where when I wanted to have a good deck or two, I had to disenchant.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm disenchanting. A couple more months go by, some new stuff comes out. Okay, well, now I can really only afford to kind of keep up with one or two classes. So let me disenchant everything else I have. Okay, well, all those cards are gone now. Now it's at a point where every other class except one or two I just have no cards for, no resources. Really the only way at this point now with Hearthstone to participate competitively in a new expansion or season or what have you is to spend money.
To pay up.
It really is. Or to slowly grind. But then by that point, new stuff's out.
Yeah, and I think for Hearthstone specifically, it's on a fundamental level, it's exhausting trying to keep up with the fucking meta.
Yeah.
it just gets to a point where it's not fun anymore.
No.
But I think what was even more upsetting is like, yeah, I'll keep up with the meta, but the meta is like the same thing but slightly changed. Like this is basically the same kind of control deck with a couple of new cards, and I had to like bend over backwards to get these couple of legendaries I wanted. Like this is Zoo again in a slightly different flavor. And I think like I can't do that forever. It's just not fun forever. And there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
There's got to be. That was just our first email.
Hearthstone, like, you know, I think, I don't know, because, like, Fortnite's Battle Pass works because you can engage with the map so many different ways. There's so many challenges to do that it kind of makes that ascent up the Battle Pass fun and engaging.
Sure, yeah.
I just can't, you know, like, these Mortal Kombat dailies are like, win a match with this person.
Yeah.
Do 10 jump kicks. Like, what more can you do? How many more ways can you engage and make those logins or dailies fun and engaging? It really has to do with the type of game.
Yeah.
You know, what can you do with...
I do think Mortal Kombat 11 has some cool stuff in it that like those dailies would be more fun. So they have like co-op battles where it's like, okay, you're going to go up against essentially a super AI boss. There's going to be 3 of you. You're going to each try to contribute as much as you can to bring down that life bar. Like that to me is a more interesting challenge than like
that's
do
fun.
5 uppercuts.
Yeah. Land 10 jump kicks.
Right.
Oh, that's fun.
And I know it's easier said than done, and you don't want everything to be like creative and complex, but I do think the more creative you get with how you engage with that game, it's going to be a lot better. And like in some sense, the Towers of Time are trying to do that.
Yeah,
it's just the way that they do the modifier. Like sometimes I think they're coming from a good place, but the way they implement them, or it's just like, yeah, it's not fun when I can't see. Like when you make the screen pitch black when I'm close to the opponent. Like that's not fun on any level. It's not a fun challenge to overcome.
75 brutalities.
Right. Yeah, and able to finish this tower doing 75 brutalities. That's not fun.
No.
That is not fun.
Not fun at all.
Our next email
couldn't be any less fun.
comes in from Joe. He says, "Hey allies, I recently picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and while the game is incredible, it started feeling a little overlong to me at about the 20-hour mark. I knew
Long way to go.
going in that it's a very long
Like
game,
a third of the way.
but it feels long.
Maybe.
As a point of comparison, Persona 5's Platinum Trophy takes roughly twice as long to earn, but it flew by for me when I played it. What factors do you think make a game feel longer or shorter than the actual time it takes to complete? Are these the same factors that would lead to a similar feeling with a movie or TV show?"
I mean, directly comparing the two, the story of Persona 5 is endlessly engaging, you know, and the way you go from
I adore the game, and I don't even know if I agree with that.
Oh, dude, just like going from character to character, like new relationship here, relationship here, relationship here, overarching story part, and then like more supporting characters, whereas Odyssey does get into a point when everything kind of just starts blending together.
I feel like a Persona has like a much more variety, you know, like locations you're going to, like you're going to all those different dungeons with different theming. Like Odyssey is in Greece and everything kind of looks the same after a bit.
Yeah, and a lot of the quests just really start to kind of blend, and it's like, ooh. So story is,
I think a story, could be a huge driving factor though.
Big part.
I feel like in a lot of games, I'm starting to see the part where, like, okay, they're changing it up here just to keep things fresh, but there are a lot of times in games where that moment is they're just doing it to do it. They're not doing it because there's any real reason. And I really had a great time with this game, but there would be moments in Batman Arkham Knight where it's like, okay, like I need to move these levers around to match this voice file. Like that's not fun. And admittedly, it doesn't take that long, but just to answer this question, it's finding that balance of having a loop, because every game you can break down into loops, right? But like if your loop isn't that complex, you need to be a shorter game. And I feel like games are afraid to do that.
Yes.
Where they have a good idea, but they don't have a good 30-hour idea. They have a good 15-hour idea. And I feel like there's this external pressure of like, hey man, I'm spending money on your game. It's got to be this long. All this stuff. And I really wish, and I know it's not possible, and I know the problem is not that simple, but let your game be 10 hours. I
Yeah.
treasure 10-hour games.
Let it be 10 hours.
Let it be 10 hours. It doesn't have to be 30 to 50 hours long.
Yeah, and it's like if Assassin's Creed main story was a lot shorter,
Yeah.
I would enjoy it a lot more.
I agree.
Like that's awesome that you have all the extra stuff you could do.
Yeah.
But I feel like because like it takes a long time to get through the main plot of that game, which was like what I was working towards like the whole time.
Long time.
Yeah, if they just shortened that up a little bit, I think I would enjoy it way more.
I agree.
I also think, and just because there are so many open world games, this is a thing that's easy to come to mind, is how they develop the main story. And sometimes in open world games, it feels like they kind of build you up and they're like, oh man, here's this central mystery. And then they only feed you the tiniest morsels until you get to the very end and they dump everything on top of you.
Yeah.
That can also make a game feel too long. I understand wanting to build up mystery and tension, but you have to keep giving me things throughout the story that make me surprised and intrigued. That's actually, Batman's just on the mind. Batman does a very good job of that, where there were moments at the beginning, at the midway point, at the 75% point, where it's like, oh wow, they took this in a slightly different direction, or they expand upon this in a meaningful way.
The Witcher 3.
Bring up The Witcher 3.
Wild Hunt. Talk about big moments like throughout.
Yeah, a lot
My
of
goodness.
big moments, baby.
Our last email is a fun one.
Ooh.
Comes in from Jason.
Jason Voorhees.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Jason.
Excellent.
He says, hey guys, short and sweet question. What characters do you hate going against in fighting games? I feel confident going into fighting games, but there's always that one character from each game, be it an AI or online, that makes me worry a bit before the match. For me, Tekken, Lucky Chloe, Marvel vs. Capcom, Virgil, Street Fighter, Akuma. What are your
Noob Saibot
Noob Saibot?
is one
I
for
feel like this
sure.
is a recently developed thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Why is that?
Just the like cheesy combos, man. There's like some I went online, I played a couple matches, and it's like
No
I
chance.
fought 3 Noob Saibots in a row, dude, and they just do the same combo. It's like the meta of fighting games.
But then
now.
can't you just learn how to counter that combo and then win?
Yeah, but I'm not.
You gotta put the time in.
I'm not
to learn.
good.
To be fair, though, this question is about mental barriers.
Yeah.
Noob Saibot, he intimidates me.
I don't play fighting games as much as I used to, but what always would kind of like make me a little more on edges would be a character I'm not really familiar with.
Yeah.
Like if I fight a character I don't really know anything about, I'm like, I gotta learn what they're gonna do in this fight and try to beat them also at the same time. Like fighting a character, like I know what they're gonna, like when I fight like Scorpion in a fighting game, I would know what his moves are, so I'd be able to like kind of work around that and play around it. But if I'm fighting someone I have no idea who this character is or what their moves are, then I'm like, okay, I have to get over 2 humps at the same time.
If anyone is Voldo in Soul Calibur, I just immediately quit.
DC.
I just immediate. You
Quit.
got me. The mental damage is too high. It's like this person's clearly a professional.
I get annoyed in any game, not just fighting games, where like, and man, I'm guilty of it too. And so on some level, I have to be mad at myself. But like when you can clearly tell that everybody's figured the meta and just trying to do the cheesiest, worst thing possible, that can always be annoying.
Sure.
And it's always very tempting to do. But one that fucking pisses me off in fighting games specifically, I get so mad. Street Fighter and Ken, man. And here's why. Because the players that are just like are freaking out and are like rolling their face against their controller, they're always Ken players. And I don't understand it, and they just need to chill the fuck out. And they're not even, it's not even that they're good. It's not that they're good or like unbeatable, but it's like somebody is electrocuting them and they can't stop. Like they're just freaking out to the most violent degree, spamming sure you can over and over and over again. Like they jump so much that you think they're floating, and you just want to like reach your hand through the screen and be like, calm down, you're not gonna get better this way. And it just annoys me to no end, where it's just like, stop.
Damn.
Just like take 1 second and think about what you're doing. But yeah, it's like they're mindlessly like mashing their face against the controller, and it's upsetting.
That's funny.
It's just annoying.
That's funny.
More annoying than anything. Stop, Ken. Stop.
Stop it, Ken. I love Ken.
And it's like even worse in Street Fighter V because Ken looks so awful that it's
Yeah,
like
the
this.
banana.
Yes. Yes, it makes me mad.
Bring back old Ken.
Orochis in For Honor, pros only. If I see an Orochi come after me, I'm shaking in my boots.
Because you could tell like a different type of character. Like that's like a
Precision.
Remember like a parry kind of character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professionals.
So they've been playing.
Look out.
Yeah. It's not just some guy playing a Viking like you with the
Yeah.
axe.
Swinging an axe like a maniac.
chill
No.
dude.
Orochi.
Yeah.
Specialist.
Calculated.
Yeah.
It's not specifically a character, but a reason why I think I gravitate more towards one-on-one fighters than like tag team fighters, and this admittedly can totally happen in one-on-one fighters too, but like in Marvel vs. Capcom, for instance, particularly like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it is always really frustrating where like you get touched and then you're just in the air until you're dead.
Yeah.
And like it is the most heart-crushing feeling, just seeing your health bar get melted, and you can't do anything. You can't block, you can't punch, you can't do anything, and that sucks. When they just figure out a way to keep you in the air.
That's what Noob Saibot was doing to me, dude.
Yeah.
Just
Juggling.
You gotta
Juggling
break
me.
out of that. You gotta do the breaker.
I know. I kept spazzing on the breakers. I was like, how do I?
Yeah, I hear you.
How do
I hear
I-
you. In the moment, it's hard.
My hands start fumbling. Like
Mom's spaghetti.
Oh, it's not a fighting game, but I used to hate fighting people in Counter-Strike who had ops. Anyone who's opping, I was like, God damn. I hate it. If they have the op in the deagle, I'm like, God dang it.
professional.
Brad, what really fucking pissed me off in Overwatch was when you would join a team, someone would instant pick Widowmaker, and not only be a bad Widowmaker, like not get any kills,
But not change.
but not do the objective.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they would refuse to change. And they were often
like they're playing deathmatch.
the
Yeah.
worst toxic people because they thought they were gods, but they weren't. They sucked terribly at the game, and they were just worthless. Like, you might as well just not have that person on your team.
Oh yeah,
That was always very
I used
upsetting.
to like get nervous around pyros in TF2 because I
Yeah.
played spy a lot, and they're always spy checking, dude. So I was always just like super nervous, dude. I was like, oh, yeah,
Dude, Team
good game.
Fortress.
yeah. I love TF2.
When's the last time you hopped in?
Years.
You should do it.
I know. I was thinking about
If
it
you
actually,
do
like,
it,
a
let me
month
know.
ago.
If you do it, you better
Go a
text
quick
me.
round, dude.
Yeah.
I'll be so bad now.
It's
though.
fine. It's
God.
fine.
I just enjoyed being an engineer in Team Fortress 2 a
Dude,
lot.
it's so fun.
Dude, Uber heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Gets me-
course,
It
yeah.
gets me
Of
so
course.
excited thinking
Like,
about
of course.
it. Just walking, dude.
Yeah.
Walking and firing.
He's like laughing and stuff. Ah, ha, ha. Yeah, it's
So wait,
good.
did you two ever do the medic heavy combo?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't like playing medic
Why
in
did
that
I
game
even
though.
ask?
Yeah,
But,
but
yeah.
I also like being the medic too, though.
Yeah.
No, so I'm,
Yeah.
I give and receive.
That was like the only class I didn't like in TF2.
medic.
I thought it was kind of boring. I don't know.
Yo, yeah. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mercy,
with
I
you.
think, is better.
I think
Better
Mercy's
than
like
that.
a better version, but I still
Yeah.
think Mercy was the most boring healer to me.
because I like going back between
But
heal and
sometimes it's
amplify.
nice.
yeah,
having that.
there's nothing wrong with it, and just being easy breezy,
Yeah.
just cool. Like that, if that's how you like to play. It's just
Yeah.
like how I like to play.
Totally.
Not my favorite.
Thank you to everybody who wrote in. The email address is askeasyallies@gmail.com if you'd like to send us a question. Thank you so much, Bradley Ellis and Michael Huber,
Yeah.
for joining the conversation. I always love these frame traps with you two on because it's just so relaxed.
Easy breezy.
Just easy breezy.
Easy breezy.
It's easy breezy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.